Welcome to Gridiron Gamblers here on Pub Sports Radio. We have week 8 ahead of us. The trade deadline on November 1st. Injuries, issues throughout this card. This card is tricky, and I can't wait to attack it. Thankful to be alongside my co-host, Andy Molitor, star of Bet Spurts and the Deep Dive podcast. Andy, how are you, my friend?
Good. We could have ended a little better. I guess the Patriots not tackling was a thing for me, but otherwise it was still a good week. Had some fun, and it's fun to really, really align with not only you, but Drew, a couple other people I trust. Just everybody was kind of on the same thing. Nobody was pushing back on the Cincinnati play. I know a bunch of people in the chat played that. That one just felt good because that was like a high confidence play, and I was going to be really sad if I couldn't figure that game out at least. So. Otherwise, yeah, good week, and we're on to week 8, baby.
Yeah, you had a good week. 3-2 teasers have hurt you here. If we cut out all the teasers,
yeah, just do that.
You'd be over 60%.
Yeah, it's been tough because Wong, and somebody pointed that out. Wong teaser legs are hitting at like 66, 68%. They got to hit at 73% to break even. So it's been a bad year for that. A lot of people in any chat I'm in have been bringing that up. So such is life. We'll just keep on doing what we do.
Your Bengals -6 was a thing of beauty. I just wish I was on the first half as well. I know that you added the team total to your action, a thing of beauty. You cashed that in the first half. The Tampa Bay Carolina under 40.5 was just too easy. I did not expect it would cash with the Buccaneers scoring 3 points.
Yeah.
Jacksonville first half should have cashed for both of us. That fumble on the 2-yard line was really tough to take.
That hurt my heart. Yeah, watching that ish.
Then for me, I cash Bengals -6. I lose Green Bay Washington under 41.5 and don't move on Washington. I had both in my notes, but I only moved on the one. I cashed Tampa Bay Carolina under 40.5. I lose Buccaneers first half. But I'm still set up nicely for a nice week. But Jaguars first half loses. Dolphins first half cashes. And then from the 13-yard line on 4th and 3, McDaniels doesn't kick a field goal. His running game is not set up for that situation. It's not a ground and pound kind of a running game. That bothered me so much. That bothered me. So that cost me. Like I really feel like I should be sitting here with a 5-2 week, but instead I go 3-4, down 1.45 units. You go 3-2 plus 0.83 units. The year's been great. The year's still been excellent, but I'm just not hitting right now the way I want to be. So I'm looking forward to have the opportunity to cap the card with you and the great cappers in the chat. Welcome all of you guys to Gridiron Gamblers, AOD, Papa Cows, Danny Lopez, Brooklyn Funk Project, B-Lab69, Brooklyn Funk Project saying today is Tuesday. It is the day to start another winning week. Coin in the house, Sky Dragon ready to go. He has finished his World Cup prep. But it says time to forget football and discuss football.
So we got Champions League tomorrow, Scat Dragon. Better be ready. But yeah, it is right back at it 2 days from now. We got a game already.
It's kind of tough with the World Cup, everyone being so excited, and Team Canada doesn't want to. They cover their jersey after they score, and they're the only country not getting a new kit, and they don't get any funds from the jersey sales, and they're an angry group, and it just sucks.
But they qualified for the next one already.
It just sucks. They did qualify. Yeah, but it just sucks. It sucks. It sucks that there's this dark cloud hanging over. I mean, I watched every game in 1986 with the Leonard Doozy brothers. Not scoring a goal in the 3 games, and now I would hope that. But let's go into NFL football now.
Let's get into the NFL. Yeah,
let's go. Here we go. We start on a Thursday night, and it's a beauty. Thursday, October 27th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We have Baltimore Ravens 4-3, 2-1 on the road. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-4, 1-2 at home. At Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 72 Fahrenheit clear, 4 miles per hour is the wind. Let's start with the line history. First off, neither team has been good to their backers this year. You're probably just hearing the names of these teams angry. They've combined over their last 9 to go 0-8-1 against the spread. And watching the Buccaneers fall apart has been wildly entertaining, and I don't know what to do with this spot. Buccaneers open -1. They're now +1. These are pinnacle openers. This total opened up at 43.5. It's now 45.5. The look ahead last week was Tampa Bay -3. In the summer, it was -4. And now we're sitting here with the home Buccaneers as a dog. It's crazy. Let's take a look at where the cash lies for the Thursday nighter. 13,706 tickets in already. 79% of the tickets, 82% of the cash on the Baltimore Ravens. Then 51% of the tickets, 53% of the cash on the over. That's not a lot of money or cash or tickets on the over for it to climb the way it's climbed. 2 points. 2 points. Penny Bombs ready to go. There's Nut Flush Allen. DC Sports Break says watching Bucks fail has been very entertaining. Sky Dragon says Brady needs nap time. Spenny Pennybomb says Mark Andrews hasn't practiced yet this week, and this game is on Thursday. There's Viper MB ready to rock with us. So this Baltimore team comes in off yet another game where the Sharps were all over them, and they failed to cover in their 23-20 home win over the Browns. It was a spot where my recency bias of losing with them against the Giants kept me off what would have been another loss. They almost failed to protect yet another fourth quarter lead. They've blown a double-digit lead in the second half in all 3 of their losses this year. This was the first game all year Baltimore didn't score first, and the first time the Ravens allowed any points on an opponent's first possession. Lamar Jackson was just 9 of 16 through the air for a paltry 120 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. Did run 10 times for 59 yards. Rashad Bateman caught 4 passes for 42 yards. Devin Duvernay caught 2 for 42. Only 4 players had catches. Gus Edwards made his return from injury. It was great to see him back on the field. He missed all of last season in the first 6 games of this one with a major knee injury. He ran 16 times for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns, and it was his first game since January 16th, 2021. Their defense was strong. Pass rush, 5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. They held the Browns' dangerous running game to 113 yards. The Ravens have both of their starting corners, Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, questionable, along with defensive end Calais Campbell. All 3 are questionable. The Buccaneers come in off their low point in the Tom Brady era, a 21-3 loss at Carolina for their 3rd loss in 4 games. Brady hasn't had a losing record this far into the season since the 2002 Patriots. That's a long time ago. Brady has never been under 500 after 8 games. He was 32 of 49 for 290 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Mike Evans caught 9 passes for 96 yards. He missed that easy touchdown catch on the game's first drive. I knew I was in trouble when I saw that. Something just didn't feel right, and I had the Bucs first half, and that first half didn't move. I knew when it didn't move, I was in trouble. I wish I had the wherewithal to say, look, I've got to buy out of this. Because the full game went from 11 to 13, and there was still -7s at -110. It went to 13.5, and there was still -7s at -110. And Mike Evans is bothered by an ankle injury right now. There's a ton of injuries with this squad, and we'll go over them. Russell Gage dealing with an ankle injury as well. We know that Cameron Brate's been out with a neck injury. Julio Jones has missed the last 3 games with a knee injury. The running game was incapable of producing anything. 16 carries for 46 yards. Their defense couldn't get any pressure on P.J. Walker. 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. They allowed the Panthers to rush for 173 yards without Christian McCaffrey. The Panthers put up 343 yards on offense. So, I mean, there's so much to talk about in this game. But Tampa Bay was number 1 in EPA allowed per play through the first 3 weeks. So we moved on them in the futures market. Week 4, we both moved on them. They're ranked 27th over their past 4 games. Akeem Hicks, Carlton Davis, questionable. Antoine Winfield in concussion protocol. Anthony Chesley left the game in the second half with a hamstring injury. Can you find some clarity in all of this? It's crazy. The Thursday nighter, Ravens Buccaneers. Take it away, Andy. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it just might be another. It might just be another under for me. Like a prime time under, short time to prepare. The fact that we haven't seen Andrews, and now we have another injury in the receiving core. If Bateman isn't practicing tomorrow and there's 45.5 left, I'm probably going to fire away on that. So I'm close on this under. I haven't quite got there. But yeah, the Tampa Bay offense just not on the same page. Nobody's on the same page. Even when they do produce a good play, it's dropped by the receiver. That was their one good play. And it's crazy. They scored 3 points. How many times? They only punted 6 times. Like, they just drives were ending on downs. They were running into the end of the half. Like, they didn't have that many drives. It didn't even feel like it was a very odd game against Carolina. And yeah, those two teams, that's how you cash a low under. Those two teams last week combined for like 6 for 24 on third down. I mean, that's how you get yourself to keep off the scoreboard. But yeah, I'm leaning again towards under just based on what this Tampa Bay offense is right now. I think the defense is better than what we saw against the run. Maybe it was just a fact that they haven't got a lot of, they didn't know what the scheme was going to be with the split with Chuba. And apparently it was all him, but he actually had a nice, 60-yard run at one point. So I think this defense steps up a little, girds its loins. Tampa Bay is a better defense than that, and maybe the offense is just as bad as we think. And Baltimore is going to be in trouble as well with Andrews and Bateman dinged up. They're going to try to run the ball. Tampa Bay might try to run the ball too, and they're just not any good at that. They've had very little success running, especially on early down. So, yeah, if injury news keeps turning the right way on a short week, I am fine taking this under, especially after some of the comments from the Tampa Bay coach when we had a little press conference saying we're just, we're fine running. We're running the ball early, even though it's not working. So if these two teams are going to keep hitting their heads against the wall, it's probably going to game that's going to end up in the high 30s.
Why on earth then would this total go from 43.5 on Sunday at 7:49 p.m. to 45.5 now?
I don't know if it was some of the defensive injuries or what. I don't understand why this total's gone up. I'm fine anything down to 45. And like I said, there's 45.5s on the board. If you go look, what's Penny at right now, Jimmy?
Penny right now is at a 45, and the under 45.5 is minus 115. But today at 12 noon, the under 45.5 was minus 105. It was actually juiced to the over. At 3:25 in the morning, you could have got this under at plus money.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like Pinnacle's moving that way. Chris is at 45 right now, so starting to see a little action. Again, it's still juiced to the over. It's over 45 minus 15. But yeah, I think I'm going to be looking at that under. Circus, somebody in the chat, Coin says Circus showing a 44.5. Sharper shops are starting to trend down. I tend to enjoy that when it's a side I'm starting to agree with. If I see the sharper shops starting to head that way in the market. So again, gonna take in the injury news tomorrow afternoon and probably fire on this tomorrow afternoon. I'll let you know what I do with it.
Nutflush Allen says, believe me when I say that everyone in the league wants their last shot at beating Brady before he is done. He says everyone thinks Lamar and Brady points, not so fast. If I gave you a free $500 bet on a side here on a money line with the Ravens at minus 116 and the Buccaneers at plus 104, what's your bet?
I would just take the dog. It's such a coin flip game. I'd take the extra 4 cents because I can't pick a side. I'd like to bet against the Ravens with these injuries, but the way Tampa Bay's offense has looked, it's been horrid. And really, too, I was actually pretty unimpressed with Gus Edwards in general. I thought they'd get a lot out of him against a Cleveland Browns defense that's just getting gashed every single week on the ground. Gus Edwards looked good, a couple weeks ago, and I thought, hey, it might be a big game for him. I get, he had the scores, but 16 for 66 isn't a great stat line against this Browns defense. So if they continue to not be able to run the ball and they try to put this all on Lamar, we might have another game like we had last week. And again, there's still a decent chance Lamar is not 100%. He's just playing through injuries at this point. So yeah, I'd take the underdog if you made me bet it.
T-Mac says, I don't know if Brady is bounce back material. He likes Baltimore. Brady says, I think it's Baltimore here. If the Bucs didn't have Brady, what would this line be versus a team that has lost to the Panthers, Jets, Packers? Interested to hear Andy's fair number here. Bo Jackson says Bucs money line, so he's backing the dog as well. LJ from H-Town saying Baltimore's been outscored in the fourth quarter 71-25 this season.
I make it like a pick. I make it generally a pick, but I'm not going to bet on Tampa because I just feel like that's not a good use of my money. I don't want to chase after my numbers betting on an underdog that's with an offense that hasn't been moving. They've had good news with their injuries at receiver, but the Bucs is not something. That's not how I want to start my week out. I'd rather bet against these two offenses. And that's the other thing too. Like I get the cases to bet against Tampa, but at the same time, Baltimore's offense didn't look all that great last week, and I think it's going to continue to have trouble, especially with more injuries on top of it.
9 completions Lamar Jackson had last week.
It feels like the Jets-Denver game with like, man, one of these shitty teams is going to win this game, huh?
Birdie's already bet the under. It is at 45 easily with a regular vig here. Harold Williams says, I agree. Don't understand anybody back in the Bucs after that game with the Panthers, Ravens, or the under or pass. Well, we'll be live here at Pub Sports Radio. We have a huge week ahead of us. So tomorrow night, we have the poker tournament live right here. The Bet Online poker tournament. Again, the password is Pub Sports Oct. That's tomorrow night. On Thursday night, Connor Mack will be hosting this Thursday nighter. On Friday, we're going to be live bet streaming Game 1 of the World Series hosted by Dabby Cab. Saturday, it's the Penn State game that Dabby Cab will be attacking Penn State, Ohio State. And then Sunday, we have the Bills Packers that I will be hosting. And then Monday, we have Bears Bengals. So it's just a packed week here at Pub Sports Radio. I guess this is probably a nice live betting opportunity once you see the flow of the game. I can understand why you guys want the under at 45. I have to respect that early cash that came in that pushed it. I won't.
And I do wonder on that with the early cash pushing it up and now it coming down with limits starting to trickle up. If it was just an early week push for other people to come back hard the other way, because early week cash sometimes doesn't impress me as much as when something gets hammered on a Wednesday. So it'll be interesting. This is a market I'm definitely, not only because it's the first game and we have to pay attention, but it's a market I'm very interested in watching tomorrow.
So for you, Wednesday, when the limits are off, that's the most important day where you're interested in the market movement.
You still, but you still see plenty of action on Sundays, like Fridays and Sundays. Once you have some final injury reports, if there's something super important, or Sundays. But yeah, like once limits are up, then you can start, I think, taking some of those moves a little more seriously.
I don't feel
their ass in gear.
I don't feel comfortable going up against that early move to the over at this point. And I don't think you guys being on the under is a wrong move. I'm going to have to sit with this for longer. And I don't know how you could back either team really from what we saw. I don't think the Browns are a good football team. And so letting the Browns hang around the way they did, I guess it's Ravens or pass, but then we need to figure out a few of these injury issues.
Like the Ravens were at home and they'd given up 38 to the Patriots. The Browns had to go, the Ravens were at home. And then the weeks before that, the Browns had given up 38 to Zappy and 30 to the Chargers. They lost to the Falcons. They gave up 31 to the Jets. This is a defense that should have gotten a little more beat up. Like I'm a little low on Baltimore right now.
I guess
but the kicker, let's take the kicker props. There we go.
Yeah, Tucker's a beast.
He'll do fine.
I guess the move would be if there is a touchdown off of the top to live bet the under, and maybe that's what I will be doing, I guess. Danielson says over looks good. There's Mike Morris in the house. All right, let's move past it. No official picks from either of us. We go to Wembley Stadium in London, England for the Denver Broncos, 2-5 at the Jags, 2-5, 65 Fahrenheit showers, 7 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the line history for this Broncos Jaguars spot off the top. We have these Jaguars opening up at -4.5. It's now 2.5. That's a big move. A 2-point move over at Penny. From a total perspective, it opened up as a pick 'em. There's been a 2-cent move to the under. Not much there. Let's take a look at the cash here. Sports Insights is giving Jacksonville 20% line value. but the sharps are on Denver, as we've seen it go from 4.5 to 2.5. 35% of the tickets on Denver, but 66% of the cash. Then 78% of the cash, 78% of the tickets and 94% of cash on the under, but it's not moving from that 39.5 spot. Sky Dragon took Denver +4 on Sunday, says hate it, but had to bet it. T-Mac, the poker game tomorrow is at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Wednesday night on Bet Online. And again, that password is Pub Sports Oct. We're doing a $25 buy-in this time, and they're giving us 10 tickets for $109 tickets for their $250,000 guaranteed. The Broncos coming off their fourth straight loss, a 16-9 setback at home to the Jets. Rippon was under center due to Russell Wilson's injured hamstring. Wilson missed the game for just the fourth time in his career. He's day-to-day. He's going to be on the flight to the UK on tomorrow, and he's trending to play. I guess just very quickly before I break that, do you think this 2-point market move is indicating that Russell Wilson will be under center?
It seems like a midpoint to me. I think it's probably 50-50 at this point. I think he does play. I think he lobbies his way into playing, which truthfully might not make a difference to my market rating on this team. Like a hurt Russell Wilson, we saw what he got with a hurt Russell Wilson last year when he rushed back from that hand injury. He was horrid. He hasn't been good so far this year. This offense hasn't been doing much of anything. And yeah, if it's Rippon on London time or a hurt Russ, I'm probably about the same. I'm not making it a big upgrade for Russell Wilson if he's going to rush back from this.
Interesting and well put. Birdie says, is it rain for sure, Jimmy? Yes, it's rain for sure. He said last time Lawrence played in the rain, 5 turnovers. The rain will push me to the Broncos, I think, and impressed with the line that Sky Dragon and others got on the 4. Let's keep rolling. Papa Cal's got a 4.5 on Monday morning. Nice job. So Rippon struggled in the second career start. 24-46 for 225 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Judy caught 7 passes for 96 yards. Dulcich caught 6 for 51. So using a running back group that included Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, and Mike Boone, who's now hurt, they ran 28 times for 105 yards. Draymond Jones had 2 of the team's 3 sacks. They're talking in the chat here about how Coin saying, give me the elite defense. Give me the better defense. That's what's happening right now. The Broncos defense is becoming excellent as the season goes on. They lead the NFL in opponent yards per play. They're first in opponent red zone scoring percentage. This is impressive. The teams are hitting 25% in the red zone against them. I don't know if I remember a number that low for a touchdown percentage in the red zone for against for any team. Mike Boone, Baron Browning, who's been so good, and their tackle Cam Fleming will not be able to play in week 8. They all got hurt against the Jets. Jaguars coming off their 4 straight loss, 23-17 setback at home to the Giants. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 43 for 310 yards. Christian Kirk got 7 for 96. Evan Ingram caught 4 for 67. Travis Etienne ran 14 times for 114 yards and 1 touchdown. And I can't get that fumble out of my head. I was right there about to cash, and it just felt like a sharpened chopstick to the larynx. The Giants lost Ben Bredesen, Evan Neal to injury in the first half. So they lost 2 linemen, and the Jags still couldn't get any pressure. They let the Giants put up 436 total yards, with 236 of them coming on the ground. Brandon Scherff, by the way, suffered a shoulder injury. I couldn't get an update on it, but if you can't get pressure on the Giants when they lose 2 linemen, how did the Jaguars have I've watched this Broncos inept offense, so I know how they have a chance. But this has to be a Broncos or no bet. And now that it's moved under 3, what the hell do we do? Take the under 39.5? How do you move on this one?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this on Sunday. Ended up firing on the under. Just going to keep riding that pony until they start setting these at like 36 or we have some freak scoring. But I got an under 40. I think you could probably play this down at 39. It's fine. It's not like 40 is super key. We're down past all the key numbers that are important. We're well below the 41s, the 42s, all that. So maybe it's not super key. I hunt around, see what you can find. Maybe there's some 39s hanging out in the market yet. I know Chris is down to a 38.5 on this. Wow. I think that's the correct move. I think the people that took Denver early, it's the same play. Like you're expecting a low scoring game. You're expecting a bad output from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I I don't think the Jags defense is great, but it's good enough to stop what the Denver's are putting out on the field, because we keep mentioning this red zone defense. And I mean, you're right, Jimmy. There's outlier years where somebody will get a red zone defense that's able to trickle into the 30s as far as percentage allowed of touchdowns to their opponents throughout the year. But generally, the best defenses, the number one defenses in the red zone every year, is like between 40 and 45%. So to keep teams at like 25% is unheard of elite. I think we'll probably see a little regression there, but I don't know if we'll see regression on the other end. They still, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, they still remain number one in the league, red zone defense, number 32 in the league, red zone offense, which I don't know how that red zone defense is practicing that well if they're playing against the worst red zone offense every week in practice. But it's an under. You can put me on the board for the best number you can find. I'm fine with this. So I took the under 40, and then just put me on for whatever the best number you can find is here.
39 and a half.
Yeah, early morning under with this Broncos defense is crazy fun. So
I agree. Move on the under. The Jacksonville Jaguars total.
Hard to watch game though.
Their team total at 20 and a half would be interesting to go under that, but I think that you want both teams. You want the Broncos' inept offense as part of this under. You don't want to leave that out under any circumstances. So I'd like to get in. It's 39 at Bet365. I'd like to get in on this tonight. This all makes sense. All makes sense to me. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Panthers, 2-5, 0-2 on the road at the Atlanta Falcons, 3-4, 2-1 at home. We're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll start with the line history here for this one. Atlanta, Carolina. We have Atlanta opening up at -6.5. There was a move last night at 7:10 p.m., a 1.5 point move towards the Panthers. So the Panthers have gone from 6.5 to 5.5, and then last night at 7:10 p.m. went down to 4. They're sitting at 4 right now. The total opened up at 41 as a pick'em. There has been an 11-cent move to the over in this one. Let's see if the cash correlates here for us. We have 10,592 tickets in. 52% of the tickets and 82% of the cash is on Atlanta. And we have a 2.5 point move to Carolina. 66% of the tickets, 68% of cash is on the over. Panthers had lost 12 of 13, were on their third string quarterback, had traded away their best player, had an interim coach running the team, and beat the Buccaneers 21-3 to move a game out of first place in this horrific NFC South. Panthers put up 343 yards of offense. PJ Walker, 16-22, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He will start again this week and probably from here on in. I don't see why you would make any moves now if he can continue playing at this level, which is not too. It's just don't make mistakes. Don't throw picks and throw for between 175 and 200 yards. Why not stay on the field? Donta Foreman, ran 15 times for 118 yards, caught 2 passes for 27. Chuba, 9 carries for 63 yards, 1 touchdown, caught 2 for 10. And then he suffered a mild ankle sprain. They said that he could have returned to the game if needed, and he's good to go this week. The defense shut down the Bucs running game, holding them to 46 yards on the ground. I know it's a bad running game, but that was impressive. And then cornerback CJ Henderson is dealing with a shoulder injury, and he is questionable for this week. The Falcons didn't cover the spread for the first time all season. They fell 35-17 at Cincinnati. They only generated 214 yards of offense. Mariota, 8 of 13 for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. And what happens if he doesn't hit Damian Byrd? If he doesn't hit Byrd for a 75-yard touchdown pass, imagine the numbers then. Mariota did run 6 times for 31 yards. Algier ran 16 times for 50 yards and a touchdown. But the secondary couldn't get stops. The pass rush did get some pressure on Burrow. 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, but it wasn't enough. A.J. Terrell limped off the field in the first quarter. The hamstring injury got hit again. Mike Ford left with an ankle injury in the second half. So there's 2 cornerbacks there. Safety Jalen Hawkins left in the second half with concussion protocol. He's already been ruled out for this one. So they placed Casey Hayward on injured reserve last week, their starting corner. Potential season-ending shoulder injury. Now A.J. Terrell is week to week, so he's not going to be in. Jalen Hawkins is not going to be in. I don't know how anybody is betting the Falcons here. I don't. So they were already without D. Alford, another corner. He's got a hamstring injury. He's day-to-day right now. He could play in week 8, but I guess you could say, well, PJ Walker can't hurt them over the top. He's incapable of beating them where they're weak. What do you think here? Taking away Panthers, Falcons.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say on this because I think the move was already made. And at this point, and I think Birdie or Sky Dragon, maybe somebody's pointing it out. Like, at what point is this Falcons offense a team you should bet on as a favorite over a field goal against anybody? It's an offense that is bound and determined to run the ball, even if they're sort of successful at it. If game state dictates throwing it, they're still going to run it. It's a very odd choice of I keep pulling at the cord of my camera. It keeps throwing me off. I got to stop doing shit with my feet, Jimmy. I'm a fidgeter, but regardless, it's not an offense I'm going to trust to lay points, even at home against a dead last team. And the move was getting the Panthers number early. I think there were 7s out there, man. People gobbled that shit up, and God bless them. That was the right move. Good job to them. At this point, I can't bet this game. This total could go a lot of different ways. If the Falcons are successful against what has been probably close to a top 10 rush defense, it's been a successful run defense. So the Falcons might not be able to do much of anything. Finally have to determine that, yes, we do have to throw the ball late. We'll see how that goes. I think the Panthers can be beat in the secondary. We'll see if the Falcons are willing to actually throw the ball. And then who knows what you're going to get with this Panthers. This might be finally the week where it's like, all right, this team lost all its good players and its coach. And like the dead cat bounces over and they come out and just look horrid like they should. But if Hubbard's healthy, he's a good runner. Walker can move a little with his legs. The whole, hey, here's $500 if you had to bet this, it would be even at 4.5. I would take Panthers rather than laying that many with the Falcons, but missed the best of the number here. Staying off this one.
Feels like the over is the play here. Spenny says take the over. He says I think PJ Walker can move the ball and DJ Moore will be a good look for the props. His target share has gone way up with Walker under center. I mean, if we think that we know that the Falcons secondary is decimated, I would prefer to be in Sky Dragon's situation with a 6.5 in my pocket, but we know that the Falcons are decimated with their secondary.
That's a problem.
So they're going to have to put up points because Carolina should be able to put up points. So I think this move to the over makes sense. What do you think about moving on this over 41 this evening?
Yeah, I worry that the Falcons' game plan is super, super poor against this team. Like, it just doesn't. It's not a good matchup for what the Falcons want to do. And I don't actually believe the Carolina Panthers have a good offense. Like, yeah, Moore's target share is going to go up, I suppose, because 2 of the main target getters are gone now. And I don't know, I would just key in on him. But yeah, that secondary is so beat up. I have this number pretty close to where it should be. I think it's a high variance game where this could be like 20-0 Carolina, or both teams could score 30. Like, I don't have a strong opinion. It's a good median number, and I'm staying off this one completely. Well, yeah, I think to get this over, you really have to make a case for the Atlanta Falcons offense to do something this week.
That's true. That's true. Johnny Gunn says, why would we take our chances with a pretty darn good Panthers defense? Look what they did to the Bucks. Is it the Panthers defense that did that to the Bucks, or was that the Bucks?
It is a good rush defense, and they have some pieces in the back. It's not great, but it's an okay defense, and this is a step down in offenses. So, yeah, I worry Atlanta's going to just lay an egg on offense again.
A great job getting the 6.5. Dennis Garcia sitting with the Panthers 6.5 and the Broncos +4 is a great start to your card. Papa Cal says, can Carolina win the South Division? No, they can't. That's not. I'm going to say no to that. All right. I'm interested in that over 41. Has it moved to 41.5 here? Let me just check and see if it's moved to 41.5 here. It's moved to 42.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn it. Okay. All right. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Chicago Bears at Dallas Cowboys. Bears 3-4, 1-3 on the road. The Cowboys 5-2, 3-1 at home. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The Bears go from an extra long rest period to a short week. Let's take a look at the line history here in this one. Cowboys open up at -9.5. There's been a 7-cent move to the Bears. You can still get them at +9.5. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 44 and it's dropped all the way to 41.5. The move happened today at 1:32 p.m. There was a 1.5 move towards the under. Take a look at the cash flow here in this one. 5,396 tickets in, 31% of tickets, 46% of cash on Dallas. So the public is on Chicago, which is no surprise after what they just saw. 65% of the tickets and 52% of the cash on the under. So there are some bigger bets coming in on the over. The Bears coming off that impressive 33-14 win at New England last night, by far their best effort of the year. Fields 13-21 for 179 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He also ran 14 times for 82 yards and a touchdown. Montgomery ran 15 times for 62 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Herbert ran 12 times for 62 yards and caught a 25-yard touchdown pass. They ran as a team 45 times for 243 yards. Darnell Mooney caught 3 for 53. Equanimeous St. Brown caught 4 for 48. And the Bears were 11 for 18 on third down. Roquan Smith was again all over the field. 12 tackles, a sack, a pick. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker also had interceptions. The Bears were a healthy group coming in off their bye, and that really hasn't changed. Offensive lineman Lucas Patrick left in the first half with a toe injury, but they're a healthy squad right now. The Cowboys coming off a 24-6 victory at home over the Lions. Dak's first game back from his thumb injury. 19-25 for 207 yards and a touchdown, no picks. CeeDee Lamb caught 4 passes for 70 yards. Noah caught 5 for 50. There was a lot of our friends on Tony Pollard props, and they all cashed. 12 carries for 83 yards, caught 2 passes for 19 yards. Zeke ran 15 times for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. So here is the problem. We know how bad the Detroit Lions defense is, and the Cowboys managed 5.6 yards per play. So look, Dak did not look good, and you have to imagine that the Bears defense is stronger than the Lions defense. This defense looked very good. They completely shut down the Lions. 5 sacks. Trayvon Diggs, Jordan Lewis had interceptions. Diggs now has 17 career interceptions. That's tied for most in the NFL since he entered the league in 2020. They forced Jared Goff to fumble twice. They did lose guard Matt Farniok to a torn hamstring, so he's out for 6 weeks. And then they traded for Jonathan Hankins to further strengthen their defensive line and their run defense. Again, the trade deadline is November 1st. Take it away for us here. Bears, Cowboys. This one's interesting.
Yeah, I thought maybe a bit of a conservative game plan from Dallas, especially once they got a lead, and kind of maybe there was probably some chatter at halftime, despite it, being down 3-6, which is like, all we got to do is get the offense moving a little here, guys. Like they were really stymieing the Jared Goff led Lions. That offense is quite a bit different. And Jamal Williams was good. Somebody tipped me on his rushing prop being a little too low. That got there for me. I don't play a lot on props, but it's always nice to boost the bankroll a little with some extra bonuses like that. But missing some offensive pieces. They didn't score in the second half. The Dallas's, halftime adjustments were enough to get them a sizable win. But yeah, I'd kind of forget this game started slow and Dallas was losing at halftime. It was an ugly start. I thought they'd be kind of conservative with Dak on the first game back. And I guess they weren't. They didn't allow themselves to do that with the score they put up in the first half. So he looked decent. I think that's going to continue to improve. But again, it was a home game against a horrid defense. I don't think the Bears defense is terribly better. Like it's not a great team. We saw a really nice performance from that defense. They got some good pressure on Zappy/Mac, and Patriots weren't tackling. Patriots weren't finishing dry or finishing their pressures. Like they got to Fields quite a bit, just weren't finishing those for sacks. So it's the number 1 team in the league for sack percentage. Their pressure rate is through the roof. They should really, really be able to harass Justin Fields. That said, 9 is a lot for a team that's starting to find a little bit of an identity in the offense. So it's probably Bears or nothing, and I'm going to pass. I hate playing a shitty team off a big emotional primetime win in a short week against a better team, especially one with a quarterback where we're not sure. Maybe he just took one more week of going through the reps, and all of a sudden he's going to be back to leading this offense, looking pretty good. So this is a fairish number. I don't make it quite 9. I very much lean towards the Bears. I'm just hesitant to take them right after they got that big win. Short week, rookie head coach, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I will never bet a team after that kind of a performance.
And Spencer has a good point here too. Like, and Drew was pointing this out to me as we were talking about it. It's like Justin Fields has like the widest range of outcomes on every play. It was like that fumble sack where he went backwards 15 yards, and then the next play, a couple of those really long runs were damn near sacks. Where it's like this play had an outcome range of like 40 yards. He could have been sacked for 10, 15 yards behind the line. Instead, he scrambled out and ended up gaining 25. Like he's a menace with the ball in his hands. I think they have something there, but yeah, this is a no thanks for me.
Papa Cal's got the Dallas -6.5 in the summer on this spot.
There you go.
No, I like it. I like that spot. I like betting against what everybody saw. This is a Cowboys or no bet, and I understand it probably should be no bet, but this is, for me, a spot where I would want to sell high on the Bears and not trust them. But you're right. 9.5 points with this.
It's hard to make any team more than, unless we go Bills, Texans. It's hard, once we get towards double digits, just there's very few teams that are deserving of that sort of spread right now.
You're right. You're right.
Although I'm mad at the Bears, so I would like to see Fields get sacked, I don't know, 13, 14 times. Sit in the ice tub for the week.
This move to the under, though, makes perfect sense to me. I can still get a 42.5.
I get that. I wonder if we see a little better Dallas offense in this first half. I'm pretty fine with the number. On the total.
Bears team totals at 14.5.
I paid the price on that one last week.
All right, I do find it. I guess there's no real angle here for me, but there's not a chance I would bet the Bears after a spectacular performance where they had 11 days to prepare. Now Eberflus is on a short week. It's a Cowboys or nothing. And if this moves too far towards the Bears, like I guess there's not that much of a difference between a 9 and an 8. But if it got down to 8, I think I would take the Cowboys here. I have interest in the Cowboys, but not enough at this number. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Miami Dolphins 4-3, 1-2 on the road. Detroit Lions 1-5, 1-2 at home at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. We'll start with the line history here for this one. We have the Fish opening up as 2.5-point favorites. They went to 3.5 today at 6:08 p.m. So about 2 hours and 40 minutes ago, they went to 3.5. They had been at 3, but at 5:54 p.m. there was a huge move. That the 3 at Pinnacle went from -114 to -130. And I agree with the move. The total's gone from 50 to 51. Let's take a look at the cash flow in this one. We have, actually interesting, 15% of the tickets are on Detroit, but 37% of the cash. That does surprise me a little. Then you have 64% of the tickets on the over and 80% of the cash. There's a ton of moving parts in this game, so let's get after it. Dolphins coming off the 16-10 home win over the Steelers. No points were scored in the second half, and I'll never know why. I read an article on it today on why McDaniel didn't kick the field goal when it was 4th and 3 from the 14 in the third quarter, but I would never, ever, ever make that decision, ever. But he's a smarter man than I am. Tua Tagovailoa, 21-35 for 261 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. In his first game back from the concussion, he also ran 4 times for 15 yards. He put his shoulder into a defender's chest, and I like what I saw from him. Jalen Waddle caught 4 passes for 88 yards. If you were watching our live bet stream, all the guys were on Waddle over reception props. Brizzy and Sharpie and C-Mac all on him in that cash. Tyreek Hill went 7 for 72. Raheem Mostert had 16 carries for 79 yards, caught 4 passes for 30 yards and a touchdown. The Dolphins defense again looks strong at home. It's looked strong at home often, and it looks weak on the road. They shut out the Steelers in the second half. That doesn't mean much. Kenny Pickett does not look good. They finished with 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and picked off Pickett 3 times. Safety Brandon Jones was helped off the field in the third quarter after a knee injury. He's going to miss at least 4 games. He's being put on the IR, and there's a chance it could be season-ending. So this secondary has already lost Nick Needham to the Achilles, Keon Cross into a knee injury, Kader Kohu to an oblique. So now they're in big trouble. The trade deadline is November 1st, and I imagine that a move will be made before this game. This Dolphins defense is beat up. You think the Lions are the worst defense in the league, and even in the last game, I was like, well, the Bears' defense is better than the Lions, and you were saying that the difference is small. Maybe the difference is small here. The Dolphins rank 22nd in opponent yards per play. The Lions 32nd. And when you go into the red zone, the Dolphins are 28th in opponent touchdown percentage, and the Lions are 29th. And we see the Dolphins look good at home and so bad on the road. Lions coming off a 24-6 loss at Dallas. League's highest scoring offense after 4 weeks has 6 points over the last 2 games. Goff 21-26 for 228 yards, 2 picks, 2 lost fumbles. Amon-Ra St. Brown left the game with a possible concussion in the first quarter, never returned. He's cleared concussion protocols. He will be in the lineup. Khalif Raymond led receivers with 5 catches for 75 yards, ran twice for 20. Brock Wright had 4 catches for 57. DeAndre Swift missed his 3rd straight game this past week. He practiced in a limited fashion. It looks hopeful that he'll be in the lineup here. Without Swift, Jamal Williams led the running backs with 15 carries for 79 yards. The defense was strong for most of the game before struggling late. Maybe it was because of how passive that Cowboys defense was in the first half, as you mentioned. They finished with 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Take it away. Do you agree with this market move from 2.5 to 3.5 for the Dolphins? And how do you move on it?
Yeah, probably just how bad the Detroit defense has been, will be, was forever. But I was not as impressed with Tua as some. I watched a bunch of that game. He threw, 6 interceptions. I just didn't catch them all. Like, he threw a lot of questionable balls that you just can't throw. And maybe it just doesn't matter this week because Detroit's defense is not that good. But man, even a really your 32nd ranked defense, if you throw balls right at their defenders, sometimes they're going to catch them, and that's really worrisome. Hopefully they clean some of that up, and that was just rust. He looks a little better, but yeah, like Tua, just Waddle and Reek should just kind of eat against this defense. I like this over if I keep hearing nice things about the Detroit Lions offensive players. We've seen this offense at the beginning of the season when it was fun against some of the worser defenses, some defense that can be beat. They had shootouts. We saw what this offense is when it's missing all their star players. So if it continues to trend towards good news, it's maybe a look at this over. I'm at 3.5. I'm fine staying off the Dolphins here. I'm not super excited. Like I just said, I saw a guy almost throw like 6 interceptions. I'm not excited about backing him on the road as a favorite on the other side of 3 right now. So I need Swift. I need a fully healthy Rob Brown, the Sun God, and maybe we can take a look at this over. But I worry this is kind of a bad spot for Miami traveling. I don't know. I hate to even think of like Detroit covering this number. It feels like Miami should just be able to do what they want on offense, but that defense, like you said, there's been a lot of injuries. The Lions offense, if they look like they did 3-4 weeks ago, it's going to be the last team with the ball kind of thing.
I think you're right. I obviously missed the mark on the Dolphins here. I could only take them first half, which I won't do because
it's 3.5 everywhere, isn't it? Are you looking at it's gotten some money.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I was a little surprised that some of the bigger bets have come in on Detroit. You have 84% of the tickets on the Dolphins. So that is, other than Cincinnati on the Monday nighter, that for all games playing on Sunday, that's by far the most. I mean, that's by far the most tickets on one side at this point. Next highest is the Niners with 70%. Chicago with 69%. So I do think, what do you think about that over? I mean, it feels like the DraftKings is now at 4.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Miami, just nothing but Miami. One-way traffic on this. There's at a certain point, it's almost a Detroit bet. But yeah, I do like this over. I'm looking at it now, seeing where it's. Oh, we can do that thing. You know what happens, Jimmy? I have a wireless keyboard. Yeah, plug that B word in every once in a while, or you can't switch tabs as fast. What are you seeing for? Is it just 51.5 everywhere right now? Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to keep an eye on this. This is another one where I want to make sure everything's full systems a go-go for the Detroit Motown offense, and that all the injuries continue to stay on the right way for both defenses. So, yeah, I'm interested in just a garbage, track meet here.
I think so too. There is a 51 at Pinnacle. There's a 52 at Bodog. So,
holding pattern for me on this, but I'm interested in this one.
I think I move on the over for me. I do. Coin saying Miami, Chicago on deck. Detroit has Green Bay. Worried about a possible look ahead.
I don't know if you need to be looking ahead to Green Bay anymore. Are they any good? That's funny. It's weird seeing them fail so much.
I think there's going to be points in this game. I think that they need to move now because, I mean, who is it? Swift's got to be back to me.
I hope so. He matters a lot to that offense.
He does, and we know Amon St. Brown's going to be back. So I'm interested in this over. I expect to move on it tonight. I think it's going to be a high-scoring ball game. Again, look at these. Look at that 28th and 29th in opponent touchdown scoring percentage. I mean, that's what you need. For these overs to hit, you need them to succeed in the red zone. You need 7s and not 3s. All right, let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Arizona Cardinals 3-4, 2-1 on the road at the Minnesota Vikings. 5-1, 3-0 at home. U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We'll start with the line history here. We have these Vikings opening up at -5.5. They're now -3.5. So there's been a 2-point move to the Cardinals. From a total perspective, it opened up at 48. It's now at 49. Again, these are pinnacle openers. Let's go over to the cash flow here. Birdie is already on the cards, +3.5. So 6,317 tickets in, 43% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on the Cardinals. 79% of the tickets, 89% cash on the over. The bye week around this time is so important, and it was so evident with the Chicago Bears, and we saw the Cardinals come in off extra rest, 42-34 home victory on Thursday night over the Saints. They snapped their 8-game losing streak, franchise's longest streak since 1958. Kyler Murray 21-29 for 204 yards, 1 touchdown. He ran 7 for 30, and as you guys all predicted, DeAndre Hopkins was excellent. The first game back from his PED suspension, he caught 10 passes for 103 yards. The rest of the team caught 10 for 101. Benjamin was very good. I didn't expect him to play at that level. He ran 12 times for 92 yards and a touchdown, caught 4 passes for 21 yards. Secondary, 3 interceptions, and Isaiah Simmons and Marco Wilson returned 2 of them for touchdowns. They weren't able to get enough pressure, though. They finished with no sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and they have extra rest. So they come in off extra rest because they're on the Thursday nighter. They came in and they had Gardeck, Prater, Connor, Rodney Hudson, and Darrell Williams all inactive. Those are big pieces to the puzzle. Now, Rashard Lawrence left with a shoulder injury, but the extra rest is important. And then the Vikings come in off their bye week. So they come in off their bye week. They're 5-1 with a 2.5-game lead over the Packers in their division. They were last seen in 24-16 road victory at Miami. Kirk Cousins played clean football, 20-30 for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jefferson caught 6 for 107 yards. Cook rushed for 77 yards and a touchdown. The defense looks stronger than it has all season. 6 sacks, 13 quarterback hits, 2 picks. They've won 4 straight games, all by 1 score in games where it came down to plays late in the fourth. But this is a healthy group that should be able to roll. They should be able to roll, but the Cardinals also have extra rest here. Take it away for us. And I didn't mean to say off the top about the extra rest that they had going into the Thursday nighter. Obviously, it was a Thursday nighter, but I had that confused.
We know what you meant, Jimmy. And some smart ass cookie, smart. Some smart cookies, not smart asses in the chat rightfully pointing out that Kevin O'Connell and Kingsbury probably know each other pretty well, as they played each other a bunch in the NFC West battles over the past couple of years. I don't know what to make of Kevin O'Connell yet. I kind of know what I think of Cliff. I don't think he's a good coach, but man, that offense, I said, I'm not so sure that offense gets the shot in the arm people think it's going to get. It kind of did. I was surprised by, Hopkins just stepping in like that and doing what he did. I was very surprised by Benjamin. And if that's the kind of offense they're going to run, they're going to be able to beat up on some teams with bad defenses. Like, this is a team that can compete. Minnesota, yeah, extra rest is great, but it's neutered a little by the fact that the Cardinals also get 10 days to prep. Like, you're not playing a team that played on Sunday. You're not playing a team that played off a Monday game. Like, it stinks that some of these bye weeks, Minnesota's general rest schedule this year has sucked. You come off the bye, you're facing the Cardinals, you go to London, you don't take a bye. I'm very, very, very heavily leaning towards the Cardinals at the 3.5 here. I think their offense is going to work well. This is a pass rush I've downgraded a couple times. I thought it had a chance to be a top 10 pass rush. I think it's more along the lines of a middle of the pack. I thought this was going to be a bottom 10 coverage unit in Minnesota. I think it's now bottom 3. It is a rough coverage unit against the right kind of offenses. If you're going to see, the new additions to the wide receiving core really start to work out immediately, Patrick Peterson's kind of washed at times. Harrison Smith, God bless his heart, he's not as young as he used to be. And then I don't think Cameron Dantzler's any good. They got a rookie that cycles in sometimes. He was injured early in the season in Booth, but the secondary is probably ripe for the picking. It's an indoor game. I know the Cardinals have a weird thing too, where they're better on the road. That's turned into a narrative that people will bet on this Cardinals on the road. So really close to firing on the 3.5. It's not going to take much to push me over the edge here. Should just do it. I'll just bet this. Well, I'm going to make sure I get the number I want at the books I'm looking at right now. So I can get a 3.5. Oh, what would I rather have? 3.5, 100 or yeah. I'm going to take a 3.5 at the cheapest. The best price you can get on a 3.5. Low Vig has an even money one.
The Cardinals plus 3.5. Let's see what we can get you here. Interesting. I think after talking this out,
it's such a bad secondary, Jimmy. I worry about the hometown squad here.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not high on this Cardinal squad, but I get it. I get it. So you want the plus 3.5 at plus 100?
Yep.
I get it. All right. We have official look here from Andy. Cardinals plus 3.5 at plus 100. Plus 3.5 at plus 100. Yeah, Danielson says, I don't know if anyone can cover D-Hop. If you double them, you got Anderson, Ertz.
They have weapons now, and if they get anything out of their running back now, kudos. It's a decent offense.
Interesting. Brooklyn Funk Project. This is news I didn't know about, but says, "Hey, great news! If you join both the Pub Sports Radio Survivor Pool and Cappers Contest Pool, Pub Sports Radio may offer you to join the U2 upgraded community group automatically. That's really cool. I didn't know that, my man." All right, Andy's on the Cardinals plus 3.5 at plus 100. Do you agree with this move on the total going from 48 to 49?
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made for the Minnesota offense. Not to have a horrible day. This is also this Arizona secondary is not that much better than Minnesota. I don't have either of these secondaries ranked very high, and by very high, I have them both bottom 10. Arizona's pass rush, I guess. Let me see where I have them right now. Yeah, you can kind of leave that too. This Arizona defense isn't something I'm very excited about. So I think just see what you can do. Take away Justin Jefferson. Thielen hasn't had as good of a year as he had in years past. It might be a little more of a one-dimensional team. We'll see. They might have to lean on Dalvin Cook and see how that goes. But yeah, this is a fine move to the over, I suppose, because I really do believe that the Arizona offense is a big part of why I'm betting this. And then it's going to be hard to keep everything from working for Minnesota with the secondary Cardinals put out there. And Coyne points out Minnesota's been squeaking out W's. This record is probably a little more fraudulent than people want to harp on the Giants and the Jets and the Seahawks. The Vikings are probably a little more fraudulent than any of those teams. Like they're really just eking out wins against bad teams and coming from behind against the Lions and Bears, and it might be the team that wins the division and just gets truck sticked by like. Imagine Dallas, Dallas against this defense as a wild card coming into Minnesota. So
I think the over is in play. I just don't want what I saw from Arizona, New Orleans to affect or push me towards that over, but does feel like that over is in play, especially if Saturated. We'll look after everybody who's already become a member. Absolutely, that we will definitely do that. This is the first I heard of it from.
I didn't get my upgrade. I don't even know what it is, but I want it. Like now that somebody said it, I want it.
That sounds nice. Danielson says Arizona defensive coordinator won't have to plan much since he's familiar with that offense. Focus will be on the offense this week.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that over. I expect to move on that over. 1 p.m. Eastern, Las Vegas Raiders 2-4, 0-3 on the road at New Orleans Saints, 2-5, 1-3 at home at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. We will start with the line history here in the Raiders game. This opened with the Raiders as 2.5-point road favorites. Now they're 1-point favorites, and that's juiced minus 116. From a total perspective, it opened up at 47, now at 49.5. There were offshores that before the action last week had this at a much lower number. Let's see the cash flow here, and I see Dan Kelly in the house. Raiders, Saints. We have 6,393 tickets in, 50-50 on the ticket count, but 60% of the cash is on the Raiders, and then 25% of tickets and 31% of cash on the under. So some bigger bets coming in on the under, but we're seeing this total fly up now to 49.5. Papa Kyle said the look ahead was at 45.5, and he grabbed it. Nice job, Papa Kyle's. Raiders come in off a 38-20 victory at home over the Texans that saw them score 21 unanswered in the fourth quarter. Derek Carr was 21-27 for 241 yards and a touchdown, no picks. Devontae Adams caught 8 for 95. Hunter Renfrow caught 3 for 55. And Josh Jacobs turned in another strong performance. It's amazing when a team doesn't pick up your option, what it will do to you. He is playing for a contract, and he's playing very, very well. He ran 20 times for 143 yards, 3 touchdowns, caught 3 passes for 12 yards. He's now run for 100-plus 3 consecutive games. First Raider to rush for more than 100 yards in 3 straight games since Napoleon Kaufman in 1997. 6th player in the past 6 seasons with 300-plus yard rushing games in a row. Raiders finished with a season-high 400 yards of offense, but they managed just 1 sack on Mills. They hit him 9 times, but they allowed the Texans to put up a season-high 404 yards of offense. Deron Harmon returned an interception, 73 yards for a touchdown. Chandler Jones had his first half sack as a Raider. First half sack. The 108 sacks since entering the league in 2012, and took that long to get him rolling. And how good is Daniel Carlson? I mean, the guy's become automatic. 39 straight field goals since week 8 of last year. Longest active streak in the NFL, 5th longest in history. 5 for 5 in field goals of 50 or more this season. 18-21 on 50 or more since he entered the league in 2018. That's impressive. Saints come in off extra rest after their 42-34 loss to Arizona on Thursday night. They've lost 5 of 6. Andy Dalton, 30 of 47 for 361 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. 2 of those were returned for touchdowns. He's the 4th quarterback since 2010 to throw 2 picks in the first half. That were 2 pick sixes, I should say. Olave returned from his concussion, caught 7 passes for 106 yards. Juwan Johnson caught 5 passes for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. We talked about him. We talked about how bad the Cardinals are with their tight ends. Kamara ran 11 times for 49 yards, caught 7 passes for 56 yards. It's possible that the Saints get back Jameis Winston, Jarvis Landry, and Michael Thomas. This team, amazingly, has scored the 3rd most offensive touchdowns in the NFL this year. I mean, they use Taysom Hill. They have all these different looks. They're very creative offensively. Who would have thought when Dennis Allen took over that the team would be so creative offensively and then so bad defensively? But there's excuses. They're missing quarterbacks Marshawn Lattimore with the abdomen injury, Paulson Paulson and Debo with the knee both inactive. Andrews Pete with the chest injury, and of course Landry Thomas and Troutman. And then they lose Roby. He's carted off the field in the first quarter. So they finished with 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. But this defense allows 28.6 points per game. Only Detroit is worse than that. Take it away for us here, Andy. This one, 2 very popular football teams, Raiders, Saints.
I just got sent a photo in a chat. My Canadian friend that I mentioned yesterday, he's off vacationing. He took his kid to a Calgary game. They're off in the Prairie provinces. It looks pretty hopping up in there. That might be a stop I get to sometime. But Raiders, this one's easy. I bet the over. I don't know if he still should be betting 50s. It's 50 at Chris now. That makes sense to me. Lattimore matters. The Raiders and Saints are quietly pretty damn close to top 10 offenses. And they are both bottom 10 defenses to me. Some people got 45s on this and like look ahead numbers. I bet 47.5. I laughed. I said, I make this like 49 and change on Sunday. It has moved to 49 and change or better. I'm not so sure people should be grabbing it. I won't make that like an official play because the numbers jump so much, but this over move makes total sense. The Saints have given up 200 points already this year. That's a lot. They're the most in the league. And granted, yes, it's when you start throwing pick sixes, that's not really on your defense. But even if you take some of those out, they're right up there with the worst of them. And it doesn't seem to matter who's injured, who's at quarterback, who's split out wide, or where Taysom Hill is on the field. This offense just keeps humming along. They did just fine against Minnesota and London. They put up some points they were in a really negative game state for almost the whole game after those pick sixes. And they, that makes it tough on them. I think this is going to be a back and forth. I have these teams rated dangerously close to each other. I think the Raiders laying this many points is probably wrong, but I'm not super interested in taking the Saints at a short number in a game where I think it's going to be a real back and forth score fest. So yeah, it's on or over. If this number gets any buyback and you can get a 49, I would bet this in a heartbeat again. So kind of see maybe if you guys have some local bookies, if you guys have some offshores that are a little slow on the get up, if you can find a 49, I would definitely still take that. And yeah, the Saints defense has been bad. It was bad with Lattimore. Like that's important. And yeah, this Raiders offense, if they, like I said, that if they start to figure out that they have a top 5 wide receiver on it, it's going to be a really sneaky team. That's going to be a real pain in the ass for teams to play later in the year, despite them probably being out of the playoff race.
So did you want to make the over 49.5 official at -105, or you got?
Yeah, put it on there. We'll just do it.
All right.
I don't expect this one to be super close. I think this gets, we're saying 64 points. That's the official call.
Birdie says this could be the first game the Saints have their entire offense. Says I can't bet this total. I think the Saints will show up here and the Raiders will struggle here, but respect the folks looking at the over. Coin says this Saints defense been bad for weeks now. That's interesting, and great job getting the 47.5. Great work. All right, let's keep rolling. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, New England Patriots, 3-4, 2-2 on the road at the New York Jets, 5-2, 1-2 at home at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, 58 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 6 miles per hour. We'll start with the line history here in this one. Opened up with the Patriots at -1 at -110. They're now -1 at -116, so a 6-cent move over to the Patriots. From a total perspective, it opened up at 42 and has dropped to 41. So let's take a look at the cash and see if that correlates. Here we have, pull this up. My apologies. Here we go. We have 7,553 tickets in. 67% of the tickets and 84% of the cash is on the Patriots. Then you have 52% of the tickets and 86% of the cash on the under. And it's moved down a point. Skydragon says New England any number. Patriots coming off an embarrassing 33-14 loss to the Bears. They allowed the Bears offense to go 11 for 18 on third down and pick up 390 total yards. Mac Jones returned for just 3 series. Never in my wildest imagination did I expect Belichick to pull him after 3 series. I was saying while we live bet the game that there's
wild.
no way he would do that. He's part of the group that drafted him 15th overall. You're not going to completely strip him of his confidence here. You're going to give him the chance to get going because his ankle looked fine. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that Belichick would do that. Then, of course, he gets rewarded by Zappe looking good and for 2 drives, and then it falls apart. Zappe came. So Mac went 3 of 6 for 13 yards and a pick. I imagine Mac Jones will be under center to start the game. Zappe was 14 and 22 for 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and Belichick messed it up. Now, he said the plan was all along to play both quarterbacks. That could just be an excuse. He says Jones was not benched for his performance. I think there's a ton of bullshit and all of that. And he hasn't said who will start next week. But I think it was a mistake, a coaching mistake. Yes, I agree with you guys. Zappe's been so much better. But 3 series, you're only going to give him 3 series. I mean, I was shocked at the coaching decision there. Devontae Parker caught 3 passes for 68 yards. Ramondre Stevenson ran 11 times for 39 yards, touchdown. Caught 8 for 59. Matthew Judon, what a monster he is. God, he's just so good. 2.5 sacks. But no one else was able to get pressure. Their safety, Kyle Duggar, left in the 3rd quarter with an ankle injury. Their center, David Andrews, evaluated for a head injury. So Duggar is questionable this week. I didn't see Andrews anywhere on any of the injury reports. Jets coming off their 4th straight win, 69 victory at Denver. It is their 4-game winning streak, their first 4-game winning streak since 2015. After their best start since 2010, 4-0 on the road. But the victory came at a cost, a big cost. They lose 2nd-round pick out of Iowa State, Breece Hall, to a season-ending ACL tear, and we saw how good he looked. And then they lose Elijah Vera Tucker, who lost with a tricep injury. So they lose a guard and RB1. Hall finished with 72 yards on 4 carries and had a 62-yard TD run. Too bad. Zach Wilson just 16 for 26 for 121 yards. That's his 2nd straight game he's been held without a TD pass. Michael Carter came in after the Breece Hall injury and carried the ball 13 times for 29 yards, caught 2 for 45. They did pick up James Robinson, which will help them. They only got 1 sack, but they got 6 hits on Rippon, and LaMarcus Joyner picked them off. Corey Davis hurt his knee, but it's minor. It's considered day-to-day. Offensively, this team ranked 22 in yards per play heading into this week and now lose a starting guard and their starting running back. Defensively, they rank 3rd in opponent yards per carry. They allow just 3.9 yards per rush, and that's where the Patriots excel. This is screaming to the under when I tie all of that together. Take it away for us, Andy. Patriots, Jets.
Yeah, I want to bet the Patriots. I just won't. I've never seen Belichick struggle with the media before and get caught in lies, because it's clear he was just bullshitting us and everybody knew it. I really hated how he handled the quarterback situation, going back and forth and then just making shit up afterwards. I am assuming they'll start Mac. The Breece Hall and the guard injury absolutely matter. It's a team that's playing well above their level because Zach Wilson's not good. They have been, be able to find things with Breece Hall and some of these receivers so far. This is a better defense. It's Belichick coming off a loss. I don't know, man. I want to bet the Patriots here, but I just don't trust what's happening with the leadership group right there. And I don't know. Yeah, the Jets, though, that was a Pyrrhic victory, that Breece Hall, he pretty much had Rookie of the Year in the bag after, he makes that long run. It's well, that's that. And then, not long after that, he's just knee shredded. Feel for the kid, but the Jets might have to come back a little to earth here now if they become a little more one-dimensional, if they're not going to get anything out of Carter and then Robinson that they just signed. If it's just going to be Zach Wilson trying to do it, they're going to have a hell of a time making that work. So Patriots are pass, and yeah, I'm not. It's not the Bill I know. It's not the Bill I knew and loved. So I'm staying away from this one.
That moved to 40.5 for me. Coin says this is one of 5 division games this week. Those division unders seem to do well. Gerald Jones says Pats have beaten Jets 15 straight times, and he likes this under as well. Viper took the under. What's keeping you off the under?
I don't know. If we do see Zappe and they open up the offense, I think this Jets defense can be beat. And the Patriots defense really didn't show me the ability to tackle, wrap up, get to the ball, finish sacks. Like I think this number's probably pretty fair.
Okay, well, I will take some more time with this
Yeah,
total.
like I'm not making a case for the over. I think it's a bang on number.
Well, I hear you. DX Filer in the house. Great to see you. Alex Ramirez says this Jets defense is good. All right. Let's roll on. Next up, we have 1 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Steelers, 2-5, 1-3 on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles, 6-0, 3-0 at home. Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 61 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. We'll start with the line history here with the only undefeated team coming in off of a bye. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. My bad. Here we go. There we go. The Eagles opening up at minus 10.5. They're now minus 11. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 44, slightly juiced to the over. It's now quite juiced to the under, minus 116 to the under. Let's move over to the cash flow here in this one. 5,825 tickets in. 36% of the tickets and 78% of the cash is on the Steelers. 44% of the tickets, 89% of the cash is on the under, which is strange as we've seen. Oh, no, we saw it juice to the under. Okay, so that makes sense. My bad. All right, Steelers coming off that 16-10 loss at Miami. Kenny Pickett cleared concussion protocol, went 32 of 44 for 257 yards, touchdown, 3 interceptions. He also ran 3 times for 20 yards. Freiermuth had 8 catches for 75 yards, Pickens 6 for 61. Najee Harris had 17 carries for 65, caught 3 for 15. They rank dead last in the NFL in yards per play. 4.8 yards per snap. The defense shut out the Dolphins in the second half, but was unable to get pressure on Tua throughout. Finished with 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit. Eagles come in rested off of their bye week. They remain the league's lone undefeated team. They were last seen in 26-17 win at home over the Cowboys. This team is rolling. They have very few, if any, weak spots. They're in the setup for home field advantage in the NFC. Through 6 games, Jalen Hurts, 66.8% completion, 1,514 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's run 77 times for not 293 yards and 6 touchdowns. Miles Sanders looks great, 4.6 yards per carry, 485 yards on 105 carries. He had a bad year last year, so it's a nice bounce back. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are elite wide receivers. You have Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal. You have Dallas Goedert. The Eagles rank 4th in the NFL in fewest 16-plus yard passing plays allowed. Their defense is strong. Their offense is strong. But looks like the sharps are on the Steelers here. What do you do? What's your move, Andy? Take it away, Steelers, Eagles.
It's a lot of points. Like I said, it's awful. It's awful disrespectful to be laying double digits to anyone. The distribution from everybody not named, Buffalo, Philly, KC, and then the worst teams in the league is not that big. That said, I listed Philadelphia in those elite teams. They probably merit this spread. Trubisky's better than Pickett at this point. Like Pickett is a high liability for turnovers. I don't lay double digits in the NFL this year, though. It's one of those where just like we saw with the Rams-Carolina game. Yeah, the Rams covered that game, but I don't know. You play that game, and a lot of times that game probably lands on the 8 to 10 to 12 range an awful lot. Same thing here. Like Philadelphia has been just continually taking the foot off the gas in the second half, not needing to do anything. The Jaguars game being a little bit of an outlier. They got behind 14-0, put it right on there. But yeah, if Philadelphia covers this, I feel it's because Pickett threw an interception rather than a garbage time touchdown late. This number's pretty decent, and then it's hard to back an under here. You could make a case for a Steelers. You could probably make a case for the Philly team total under. The Steelers have a sneaky good red zone defense too. This might just be a case where, Philly goes up 21-3 and that's that. So I've seen people make cases for Philly first half, but that number's awful big. I'm staying away from this one and just cheering for Eagles keep winning and the Giants start losing I have found some Sirianni Coach of the Year tickets there. Dable is trying to cuck me on.
He is. He certainly is. The Eagles first half -6 would be the only look, and I don't want the fact that I lost on the Buccaneers first half -7 to take me off of it. Kenny Pickett has got a lot of work to do here, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of losing till he figures some things out.
And this city, like, I wouldn't want any sport. If I played on like a ultimate frisbee team, I wouldn't want to go play in Philly right now. Those people they have a bloodlust among them right now. All their teams are winning. This fans are always rowdy. It's gonna be quite the environment for young Kenny.
Yeah, it's they're having a hell of a season. Or a hell of a year in Philadelphia sports teams. All right, let's keep rolling. I'm very interested in that Eagles first half. Titans Texans is next up. Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's see what we are dealing with here. This opened up with the Titans minus 3.5. They're now they have a -1 on the board here at Pinnacle, but that -1's at -124. So that's not a real -1. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 41 and is now at 40. See where the cash lies for Titans, Texans. You have 33% of the tickets on Houston, but 50% of the cash. Seems like normal. The Sharps have just been on Texans week in and week out, or the bigger bets, I should say, at this point, rather than the Sharps. 47% of tickets, 95% of cash is on the under. Titans coming off their 4th straight win, 19-10 at home over Indianapolis to sweep the 2 games, first time this year. Tannehill, 13-20 for 132 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Hurt his ankle, only missed 1 snap, and then walking boot after the game. So a really big chance that Malik Willis will start here for this Titans team that has now won 4 straight. Derrick Henry, I know a lot of you guys were on Derrick Henry props, and beautiful. 30 carries for 128 yards. Nice to have LJ in the chat for this. He says Texans money line. And Not Flush On saying Titans offense is a disgrace to watch. LJ also looking at Davis Mills pass completion prop. And Gerald Jones with a great stat for the last game saying Eagles last in NFL second half scoring. Wow. So Malik Willis likely going to be in there. Derrick Henry had the great game. Austin Hooper caught 3 for 56. And we saw the difference with Bud Dupree and Amani Hooker returning to fortify that defense. It showed. They finished with 3 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, picked off Matt Ryan twice, and Andrew Adams returned one of them 76 yards to the house. Texans coming off a 38-20 loss at Las Vegas. That was closer than the score indicates. They were up 3 in the 4th quarter. They put up a season-high 404 yards. Davis Mills, 28-41 for 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and Damian Pierce again led the way offensively. 20 carries for 92 yards, caught 4 for 25. Jordan Akins caught 3 for 68. Ogunbowale caught 5 for 54. Brandon Cooks caught 4 for 46. Their defense couldn't get stops that were needed in the 4th quarter. Finished with 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. Raiders put up a season-high 400 yards on them, and the Texans had some costly injuries. So they lose Malik Collins in the 1st quarter to a chest injury. He signed a 2-year, $17 million contract in the offseason. They lost Nico Collins to a groin injury in the 4th quarter, and he didn't return. He caught 3 passes for 33 yards on 3 targets, and he was averaging a team-high 18.3 yards per reception coming into the game. So they lose Nico Collins, they lose Malik Collins, and then they lose rookie offensive guard Kenyon Green, shoulder pectoral injury. So he's has a strained pectoral, and he's out. So those are some losses, and we saw them kind of shrivel in the 4th quarter. Do you expect Malik Willis to be a quarterback for the Titans, and how are you betting this?
Yeah, that's probably the only thing keeping me from betting the Titans. The Texans have given up almost 1,000 yards on the ground already. There's a couple teams that actually have trickled just over 1,000 yards, but they're bad against the run, and Tennessee seems to have figured out, I don't know if he just got rested enough or they're starting to use different schemes. I haven't honestly watched a ton of Titans games. I've, checked in more on box scores and caught highlights, but Tractor Cito's back if that's the game plan with the backup quarterback in, and he can scoot too. So if Derrick Henry's playing better and you have a quarterback who's going to maybe have some designed runs in his package, I really worry about Houston even at home. So yeah, I was cheering for Houston for survivor reasons last week. I wanted them to get it done. That would have been a sneaky win. That would have taken out so many pools would have just been finished with the Patriots, Tampa Bay, and the Raiders losing. Wasn't to be, but Houston's squarely. I think it's a really bad matchup for their defense. Vrabel's kind of a good coach. It's the chicken salad out of chicken shit thing. They've had a lot of injuries and they don't really have any wide receivers, but And yeah, the Birdie's saying it too. Mike Vrabel is a good head coach. They haven't beat any good teams, as Coin's pointing out. The chat's like 3 seconds ahead of me here, but it's not a good team. But the Texans are a real bottom feeder as well. This is so you're saying this is about a neutral or about a pick 'em on a neutral? I'd make Tennessee favored by a point or two. So leaning towards Tennessee. I might be happy to grab this number now that it's trickled down, taking some Houston money. There's been pro money on Houston for weeks. They haven't always been rewarded. I would want a bigger number if I was backing Houston. I might need over a 3 to take this. So this could be a horribly ugly game that I regret betting. But I do think this running game from the Titans will just wear down the Texans. So no official play, but I'm looking pretty hard at Tennessee. The pass rush, and that was a big thing too. This pass rush, that was going to be the only thing I liked about this defense, starting to kind of come back, as you alluded to. That was nice. Some of the highlights I saw from last week, and as I was flipping through that game, you saw the pass rush get after it a little. So maybe the Titans win this division. It's such an ugly team.
The difference here, and LJ saying Texans play much better at home, that they definitely do. But I think what the difference is, and I was coming, and this is the beauty of this show for me as a capper. I was coming in here with a plan to take the Texans. But when I think the biggest difference here is not that Malik Willis is going to take over for Tannehill, but to me is that the Titans got their defense fortified with Dupree and Hooker coming back, and the Texans lose Malik Collins and then lose a couple pieces on offense. That is enough maybe to tilt the favor towards the Titans, where I had been planning on moving on the Texans. Brady says, how do we not bet Titans first quarter and first half? Vrabel has been very open, saying that's what they're trying to do. Well, this changed my whole plan. So I'm going to have to study this more. No move for me. Is there anything you want to make official here, or are you going to wait on the Titans?
I'm waiting on this. I don't think I need to be jumping to this one.
Let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, we have the Washington Commanders at Indianapolis Colts. That's the next one on the docket. These Commanders 3-4, 1-2 on the road. The Colts 3-1, 2-1 at home. And of course, the big news in Colt land is that Sam Ehlinger will be the starting quarterback for the Colts. Ehlinger, 6th round pick last season, hasn't thrown a regular season pass in his 2-year career. More mobile than Ryan, had a great preseason, but we know who you're up against in the preseason. So that is the big news here for this game. Let's take a look at the line history and see what we are dealing with. We have the Colts opening up at -4.5. They're now -3. From a total perspective, it opened up at 41 and has dropped to 39.5. Cash-wise, or let's see where the cash lies in this one. We have 7,654 tickets in, 61% of tickets, 61% of cash on Heineke and the Commanders, 68% of tickets, 96% cash on the under, and it's dropped to 39.5. All right, let's talk about the Commanders first. It was their first game without the services of Carson Wentz, and it went very well. Heineke led the Commanders to a 23-21 home victory over the Packers. Heineke went 20 of 33 for 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Scary Terry was excellent. They have so many game changes. You have Scary Terry, 5 catches for 73 yards and touchdown. Curtis Samuel, 5 catches for 53 yards, also ran 5 times for 26 yards. Brian Robinson starting to look better and better every week. 20 carries for 73 yards. Antonio Gibson, knowing that he could lose his job, is stepping up as well. 10 carries for 59 yards. Gibson could be trade bait here in the moving on to the deadline. The defense rarely blitzed. I mean, there was almost no blitzing, and they were fine. They finished without a sack, 1 quarterback hit, but they showed their strength once again against the run, holding the Packers to 38 yards on the ground, 12 carries. They held the Packers to 0-6 on 3rd down. Green Bay finished with 232 total yards. So this Washington secondary is good. They're allowing opponent quarterbacks to complete 59.1% of their passes. That's 5th best in the league. We know that they can stop the run, and now their secondary is looking strong. Commanders are a good squad, and they look better without Wentz ruining everything. The Colts come in off a 19-10 loss at Tennessee that spelled the end of Matt Ryan experiment in Indianapolis. So The Colts were 13-2 the past 2 years when Rivers or Wentz attempted 30 passes or less. So we must expect with Sam at quarterback that there will be a low volume pass approach and that it will all be about Jonathan Taylor running the ball. He returned from his sprained ankle, 10 carries for 58 yards, caught 7 passes for 27 yards. Nyheim Hines did not look good back after the concussion, but I'm sure he's fine. And they're deep at that position. We saw that when the injuries happened. Paris Campbell, 10 catches for 70 yards and touchdown. Pittman, 6 for 58. This offense, I'm looking forward to see it. The Colts allowed Derrick Henry to run 30 times for 128 yards, but their secondary was strong, and they got 2 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. Take it away for us here. A ton of moving parts in this one. Commanders, Colts.
Yeah, a quick step back to the last game. Somebody did point out, getting Josh Jacobs for the Texans and then Derrick Henry in consecutive weeks. That's no fun. Josh Jacobs' stat line, usually when you see a guy that has like 7 yards a carry over like 20 carries, it's because, he had an 80-yard run, Andy. That, of course, is average. No, his long was 15. He just averaged 7 yards a carry for like the whole damn game. So I think we see more of that. And back to this one. It is starting to be a defense that's starting to come a little bit together. Both of these defenses are on the come up compared to where we saw them early in the season. Maybe the Colts game was an ugly one to watch. If anyone took in that Tennessee Colts game, Matt Ryan threw the ball a lot again, got sacked 3-4 times, threw a couple picks. And it was just, Derrick Henry had 30 totes in that one. So the Colts defense did all they could. That's hard when they just keep hammering you up against them. I did bet the Commanders in this one, along with some other people I saw in the chat. I got a 4. I'm fine with anything over 3 here. I think this is a better offense with Heineke, and I do not think Ellinger's an upgrade. Ellinger is not an NFL arm. He was a good scrambler in college, but I don't know. Do that against, your I almost said Pac-12, Big 12 defenses compared to, a Commanders defense that I think is on the come up right now. So I don't think he's going to have a good game. I'm fine backing the Commanders here at a plus number. I think this should be under 3. So put me down for the best number you can find. Looks like this is another Sunday bet where it's like, shit, I got to bet this now, don't I? And it was +4, -10. I think that's pretty much 3 across the board. I'm still willing to take that.
Hoops 590 says I saw the game. Washington D was fired up, and I think Heineke fired up the Commanders. I think he really did. Do you think it's possible that Ellinger here could fire up the Colts offense?
I don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't be excited to have him like that. That's not your long-term answer. You have to feel like, it's just like when you work somewhere, because this is what these NFL players do. They work for these teams, and they understand when shit's happening and it's not right, the things aren't going well. When all the bosses go meet, and I mean, it's kind of seems like they basically told Reich he's changing quarterbacks. I wonder if they gave him some sort of ultimatum, like, hey, we're either switching quarterbacks, we're switching offensive coordinators, we're switching head coaches. Which one do you want to do? I kind of feel like that was the conversation. So it was a forced benching by ownership, by the GM, by management. It's not a recipe for, hey, let's rally behind this guy. It's more of a, what the fuck is going on with this team, guys? Like, I don't know if I'm starting to look at my contract and call my agent. I remember seeing him play at Texas. Like, it's been a while though. This is gonna be fresh. So I'm gonna take the points. I don't think Ellinger should be laying points with anyone.
You got a +3 and -105. And Jeff Slaughter says Sammy Boy going to win his first NFL game. From Jeff Slaughter. All right, you locked in, Andy. +3 and -105.
As long as he wins by like 1, fine with that.
Huh. I'd gone into this thinking I was going to be on the Commanders as well.
Horns down. I'm betting against him.
God, this game's going to be interesting. Okay, let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco 49ers 3-4, 1-3 on the road at the Los Angeles Rams, 3-3, 2-2 at home. SoFi in Inglewood. Let's take a look at D-line history for this one. We have the Rams opening up at +1. They're still there. There's been a 7-cent move at Pinnacle to -108. From a total perspective, it opened at 41. It's now at 42.5, heavily juiced to the over. We go over to the cash flow for this one. 5,485 tickets in. 73% of the tickets, 91% of the cash is on the San Francisco 49ers. Then 30% of the tickets, 72% of the cash is on the under, which, we're so used to when these two teams meet up. But it's hard to not pay attention to this move towards the over. The last move happened yesterday at 2:42 p.m. It went up another point, which is interesting. So, and then cash flow, we went over it, money on the under, but market going up to 42.5. 49ers coming off that ugly 44-23 loss at home in McCaffrey's debut with the squad. Their league-leading defense got annihilated. 529 total yards for the Chiefs. 6 for 9, they went on third down. At one point, the Chiefs scored touchdowns on 6 of 7 drives. Jimmy G was 25 of 37 for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. George Kittle caught 6 passes for 98 yards. There's don't ask, don't tail. Thank you so much for the dono, my man. Had our back since we started, and it means a ton to us. Don't ask, don't tail. In the house. George Kittle caught 6 for 98 in a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk's been looking great. 7 catches for 82 yards. Christian McCaffrey in his first game ran 8 times for 38, caught 2 for 24. The defense could get no pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes could get anything he wanted at any time. Niners defense finished 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. Hufanga did have a pick. Drake Greenlaw left the game with a right calf injury. Deebo Samuel also dealing with a hamstring injury. He's considered day to day. Rams come in fresh off their bye week. McVay is 4-2-0 against the spread, coming off a bye in his career. They were last seen in that 24-10 home win in Carolina. We talked about that spot because you were right. They covered that game, but I did not think they were going to. And they did that late. Stafford was 26 of 33 for 253 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So the big story out here is they lose Noteboom. Torn Achilles, season over. They were already without 5 of their top 8 offensive linemen before losing Noteboom. Now they get Brian Allen back at center. That's a huge deal. They get Van Jefferson back. They get defensive back Troy Hill back and Bobby Brown, the defensive lineman. So those 4 all return to practice. They're going to use Alaric Jackson as a full-time left tackle after Noteboom's injury. And they're not sure who they're going to use at right guard. This Rams team has started 6 different offensive line combinations in 6 weeks. Akers is going to be traded. We expect him to be traded by the deadline. This offense is 28th in the league in yards per play. And Sean McVay has only been a home underdog 5 times in his career. In those 5 games, he's covered the spread once. Take it away for us, Andy. Niners, Rams.
Yeah, is this just so simple as, hey, the Niners had some injuries in the secondary. They're forced to kind of play a softer zone, and Patrick Mahomes is a god against that. And that's not what we're going to see from this team with a beat-up offensive line, a much worse quarterback, more of a one-dimensional passing offense, a run game that hasn't been working. And like you said, it's been a bad offense. It's just so simple as keep betting the Niners against the Rams here. And I get that they're rested and whatnot, but boy, this is just a bad overall matchup for them. And the Niners coming off the double trip to the East and then having to face an offense that was just a nightmare matchup for them apparently. So I tried to make a case for the Rams last time out when they played the Niners. That went poorly. It might just be taking the Niners. So this is one where I'll usually sell a point or two even. I haven't fired on this yet, but I've been kind of keeping an eye on this line. It's just a cheap -1 everywhere. I suppose I'll just take that. Yeah, give me that. This is my don't overthink it. Shanahan's a better schemer against McVay for some reason. You got McCaffrey getting another week under his belt at practice. You're getting a little healthier on the defensive side, and the Rams offensive line might get Stafford killed.
Got you -1 at -104. And the offense line is a huge problem in LA. There's no doubt about it, but it's going to help getting Brian Allen back. I feel like I have the Niners to win the division. I probably don't need to compound any losses by getting involved here. It's a very important game for the division. I don't think the Seahawks are going to be a problem. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be a problem. It's between these two teams. Sammy says, I'm betting overs on Jimmy G props in every way. TD, passing yards, completions. He'll control the game better than Stafford. Birdie is leaning with Dennis Garcia here. Says McCaffrey really does not fit the 49ers offense. They will have to change the way they play. No usage. Usage is a huge deal. Viper on the Niners and the under. What do you think about this total that's gone up to 42.5?
I don't know what to think of this Rams offense. This could be just a shellacking. This could be one way. Like if the Niners win, they could win, by volume here. So I worry about the Rams defense or offense doing anything at this point. So this is a weird division, man. The Niners need this too. Seattle's right there. Like Seattle could win this division if they keep their offense efficiency where it's at. So I think this total's probably bang on. I make it like a 44. So I'm just going to bet. I'm going to bet me some San Francisco treat.
I'm interested in them. No doubt about it. I'm interested in them. And thank you, Alex Hills, gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership right there. You're a good man, Alex. Thank you so much for your support, my guy. Wow. This one is wildly interesting and important. Papa Caus is late to the party. Seattle with division 25-1. Well, let's talk about the Seahawks, and they've been very good. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. New York Giants 6-1, 3-0 on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. 4-3, 2-1 at home. Lumen Field, Seattle, Washington. 50 Fahrenheit rain, 13 miles per hour. So has some wind and rain in the forecast. Let's take a look at the line history here in this one. We have the Seahawks opening up -2.5. They're now -3, sitting at -3. That 3 got up to -107. Right now it's at -102. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 46.5 and has dropped to 44.5. Giants won their fourth straight game, 23-17 at Jacksonville, improved to 3-0 on the road. At 6-1, they're off to their best start since 2008. They became the first team in NFL history to start 6-1 or better and have each of their first 7 games decided by one possession. God, Dayball. Jesus. 6 victories by combined 27 points. None have come by more than 8 points. 58%, so 8,019 tickets in. 58% of the tickets, 70% of the cash is on the Seahawks. Then 73% of the tickets, 75% cash is on the over. Daniel Jones was 19 of 30 for 202 yards, 1 touchdown. Ran 11 times for 107 yards. Saquon Barkley also ran for 110 yards on 24 carries, caught 4 for 25. That's the first time the Giants have had 200-yard rushers in the game since Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw in 2010. Darius Slayton caught 3 for 58 in the touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson caught 6 for 50. Their defense didn't get a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence, but they held on. They finished without a sack, had just 2 quarterback hits, dealt with the injuries, and still pulled out the win. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen, left tackle Ben Bredesen and right tackle Evan Neal, as well as rookie tight end Daniel Bellinger. Bellinger had a fracture around the eye socket. He came back to celebrate with the team. This team is having a lot of fun, but it is unclear if he's going to need surgery and the season might be over, but he still just rushed back to the stadium. That's what the Giants are doing. They only have 2 healthy tight ends right now. Tanner Hudson on their 53-man roster, Tanner Hudson and Chris Myrick. Lawrence Cager is signed to the practice roster on October 18th. So, but by the way, Neal and Bredesen have avoided ACL tears, but they're both week to week, so they're not going to be in the lineup. They have Joshua Izudu filled in on Sunday for Bredesen at left guard and Tyree Phillips for Neal at right tackle. Neal could have a grade 2 MCL sprain, so he would be out several weeks in the Dory Jackson concussion protocol. That's a lot that hurts this football team. And Daniel Jones is going to have to be, running for his life. Seahawks coming off an impressive 37-23 victory at the Chargers. Geno Smith just continues to impress. 28-27, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kenneth Walker, what an absolute monster. 23 carries, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf hurts his knee. It's a patellar tendon injury that will not need surgery. When he's out, Marquise Goodwin, will get that spot alongside Tyler Lockett. And Goodwin had 4 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They've scored 32 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games. And their defense, their much maligned defense, had a second strong game. 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and intercepted Herbert once. Shut down the Chargers running game. And I know it's a weak running game, but they held it to 53 yards on the ground. Take it away here for us. Birdie says, can't bet Seattle won't step in front of the Giants. What Wink is doing on defense for the Giants is as good as any coach in the NFL. People keep wondering how the Giants are doing it. It's Wink. What do you think here? Take it away for us, Andy. This is a big one. Giants Seahawks.
Not a strong position, but I did take some Seattle -2.5 at a cheap price because I saw the writing on the wall. It was going to go to 3. It was always going to 3. I'm not psyched about chasing either of these teams. It's both. Hey, who you want to sell higher on? These are both sell high spots. They're 2 offenses that we had no idea were going to do anything like this. A team that didn't extend/take the option on their quarterback in New York. A team that really we thought punted on quarterback with Geno and Drew Lock in their quarterback competition in this preseason. And Geno's been very efficient. I don't think I can say that for this Giants offense. They've taken advantage of teams not being able to figure out, like the Martindale defensive adjustments in the second half. They take advantage of teams not being able to score on them in the second half. And I haven't seen much lately that's been able to slow down the Seattle offense. So if Martindale and his coaching staff can slow down Geno Smith, this is not conversations I thought I was going to be having about 8 weeks ago, then kudos to them. It's a bad travel spot. There's more. The DK injury absolutely matters, but Kenneth Walker really coming to I don't want to say Kenneth Walker is going to have the same career as Saquon Barkley, but right now I don't have a big difference between the 2 run games between these 2 teams. I think Seattle has the better quarterback. I think Seattle has the better offensive game plan, and Seattle is going to score, more points, and it's going to be on the Giants to keep up at this point. So, I hate fading the Giants. I don't want to do this, but I make this 3.5. It's not a great travel spot. And Bellinger, what a nasty injury. Just got judo chopped in the goddamn eye. Guy was trying to punch the ball out and his hand just went right in there. Woof. So we'll see. Like I said, not strong, not official, but I did take some -2.5 here.
I want the Seahawks. I mean, it's just crazy going up against the Giants week in, week out. I was very confident with our Jacksonville Jaguars first half. I was very confident. I was confident that whole first half.
Yeah.
And, of course, it doesn't cash. And then, of course, the Dable, Kafka, Martindale combination makes great adjustments, and they comfortably – they stopped them on the 1-yard line.
Yeah, if the Giants keep getting fumbles into the end zone and just the magic from the gods, they're going to keep winning.
I think this is a terrible travel situation. I mean, you said not a good one or a bad one, but isn't this a terrible one? They went back to New York after the game, right? And then they head out to Seattle. Yeah,
this is a long trip. And granted, teams are better at traveling now, but this is one of the last true vestiges of home field advantage. These fans are still going to get after it. It's a tough stadium to play in. We'll see, but like I said, I don't mind the 2.5. I'm not crazy about the 3.
Huh. And would you again prefer to take them first half rather than deal with the adjustments that this excellent coaching group continues to make?
I'm just gonna let it be. I think just Seattle's like Novocaine. Just it'll work eventually. This offense is going to score. So I don't know where people just overall where people have this Giants defense. The adjustments have been good, but overall how they grade out position by position is not good. It is absolutely coaching up a bunch of players as a unit, because individually there's not very many players that grade out terribly high for the Giants on defense. So I think Seattle's offense is just going to be too much here. Again, you got to be quick to adjust in this league, because that's not something I thought I'd be saying before the season started.
Do you want the Seahawks here officially at -3, -102, or are you going to?
No, I'm just it's not the strongest.
So I want to back the Seahawks here. I think it's look. I mean, we saw what the Falcons were doing week after week, and we said it's going to stop in Cincinnati. Why don't we think it's going to stop here in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, both teams are kind of high in their market. I just trust the Seattle offense more right now. So, if I wouldn't blame you for taking a first half look there.
Oh God, it's optional misery here. I think I'm choosing. I want Seahawks. I do not believe that this Giants thing will keep happening. LJ says if you want Seattle take them first half, then get out. God, the trigger finger is just itchy for a first half full game here. It didn't work out, and you know what, Papa Calls, I don't want that to stop me from betting it here, and that's what it does, right? That's what we always are. Subconscious keeps you off of spots because you lost that way a week before. I'm going to get in the way of the Giants here, and I'm going to hate seeing Ron Crawford on the other side. And the coin's saying that the Giants head into their bye after this game. Do you ever think that that they could be thinking, look, we're 6-2. Nothing wrong with that. Let's just get on the plane and go have a vacation.
Yeah, hopefully not. Like maybe with a poorly coached team, I do believe in Dable and this coaching staff. They'll keep them from getting into that. So I don't have that as a huge factor usually, unless it's a team like last year's Jags. Like, hey, they don't respect their coach. He's probably on the way out. This could be a problem in some of these spots, but not for the Giants.
Harold Williams looking at it as well with the Hawks. Papa Call says, I believe Oppo give best effort before the bye. Yeah, well, Dable will certainly get that. I mean,
yeah,
we talked about Bellinger coming back to the stadium. I mean, who does that? Only a player who really wants to be in the locker room with his team. Okay, I'm moving on to Seahawks. I just don't know if it's a first half and full game situation and whether I have the balls to do that. Let's move to 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Green Bay Packers 3-4, 1-2 on the road at the Buffalo Bills 5-1, 2-0 at home. Highmark Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. 55 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 8 miles per hour. This is our Sunday nighter. I'll be right here. It's is it Sun? Is it November 1st? I'm trying to slow down my liquor intake until the end of the month.
Huh.
No, it won't be. But still, it's time for a fresh giant bottle of Kraken. Let's open up the line history here in Packers Bills. We'll be right here. And who would have thought that we'd be sitting here on the Sunday nighter and the Packers would be double-digit dogs? They opened up at Pinnacle minus 10.5 at even money, or plus 101, I should say. It's now minus 113 or minus 112. So there has been a 13-cent move towards them at this number. From a total perspective, opened up at 47.5, slightly juiced to the over. It's now slightly juiced to the under. The poker contest starts at 9, Sky Dragon, and that is one of the things that I would like to change for our next one. I think I'd like to make it an hour earlier just because we all have so much work to do, for Thursday's giant card. So that would be something I'd like. But we'll get into that here tomorrow more. But again, the big poker tournament is Wednesday night. Bet online, and the code is Pub Sports Oct for October, OCT. All right, Packers. Take a look at the cash flow in this one. 8,788 tickets in, 47% of tickets, 80% of cash on the Packers. 57% of tickets on the under. They haven't given us a cash flow on that total. We've seen it move 4 cents to the under, not much. Packers coming off their third straight loss, 23-21 at Washington, 232 yards of offense, 0 for 6 on third down. The Packers had no third down conversions for the first time since 1999. Rodgers, 23 of 35 for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Alan Lazard went down with an injury. So that's the third wideout the Packers have on the shelf. He was leading the team in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Left in the second half after taking a hit at the end of the first down catch, didn't return. The Packers won't officially practice until tomorrow. So that's when the first injury report of the week will come out. But the offense is very thin at receiver. So we have Lazard with the injury, Randall Cobb on IR with the ankle injury. Christian Watson's missed 2 straight games with a hamstring injury. So with Lazard at this point, his arm is in a sling, but he is not being ruled out. The running game got completely shut down. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon combined for 12 carries for 38 yards. Aaron Jones did catch 9 passes for 53 yards and touchdown, or 2 touchdowns. I don't have that in front of me. Sammy Watkins had 2 catches for 36 yards. And now this 4th-round pick out of Nevada, Romeo Doubs, he's got to step up. 0 catches on 4 targets. Watkins and Doubs need to step up in a huge way. We saw what this offensive line looked like without Bakhtiari. He was inactive, and that was a Saturday addition to the injury report. How bad is this Packers offense? Because I think a lot of us have a vividness bias of them being god awful, but they're not that bad. They're 17th in yards per play, and that's not so bad, is it? Their defense tried to keep them in the game. Devondre Campbell returned a pick, 63 yards for a touchdown. Pack got 1 sack, 6 quarterback hits, but Rashad Gary's in concussion protocol now. Over the last 4 games, Aaron Rodgers is throwing for 6.1 yards per attempt. That's 34th out of 40 qualified quarterbacks. So he's 34th out of 40 at 6.1. Josh Allen is second at 9 yards per attempt. Bills coming off their bye week. McDermott 5-0 post-bye games. All 5 of those games have come at home. They were last seen an impressive 24-20 win at Kansas City. It was made even more impressive after watching the Chiefs put up 529 yards of offense against, and 44 points against the Niners. Who can slow down this Bills squad? Look at these stats. I mean, no one can. They're number 1 in the NFL offensive yards per game, number 2 in points per game, and they're number 1 defensively for both yards per game and points per game. So what do? Gabriel Davis looks excellent alongside Stephon Diggs. They combined for 13 catches for 222 yards against the Chiefs. And Matt Milano is one of the best defensive players in the world. He does everything and is all over the field all the time. Take it away for us, Andy. It is the Sunday nighter. We'll be live betting right here on Pub Sports Radio, Packers, Bills.
Yeah, you wonder, and Birdie's pointing out, like, the Bills have hammered good teams. You wonder if this is like a statement game for Josh Allen. Guess what, old man? My neighborhood now, and just romps. I can see the bit. Like, if I'm betting this, I'm betting Bills minus 14, Bills minus 21. But like, I'm betting alt lines up to like 30. Because why would they? If they don't let up, they're not going to let up. And the Packers are 1-3 in the last 4 games, with the quarterbacks they face being Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Zappy coming in during the game, and then Heineke's first start off of a long layoff since he's played. And now you step up to the odds-on MVP on the team with 6.5 yards per play right now. This offense absolutely humming, like you said, crushing good teams. They already beat the Chiefs in a really good game. Gosh, it was like, in what world can I even think about taking these points? So I am. Oh, we got the Torbert crew.
Yeah,
there's been some crew and the refs this year have driven me nuts. I won't get into that, but it's a lot of points to be laying. But yeah, I'm not betting this straight up. If I do, I'll play some props on like Buffalo, their first half team total, for full game team total to win by 14, 21, some, Josh Allen goes and puts it on them kind of props. So nothing for me here. It seems like a massive mismatch with the Packers defense, giving up points to much worse offenses. And now the best offense in the league coming in rested at home against it. And Aaron's throwing players under the bus. He's not being a leader right now. He's saying there's players that shouldn't be playing as much. And it's kind of messy in Cheeseland right now. So no thanks. But yeah, this is Bills or nothing. And this could be, Bills by like 40.
Packers team total at 16.5 with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's crazy. What do you think of that total at 47.5?
It's probably about right, because this could end up being just one of these blowouts where it ends up being like 41-6, and we all laugh.
If
it's a decent defense too. I know they've taken some steps back, but the Packers offense isn't anything to write home about, and they're losing receivers. Dubs isn't doing shit. So yeah, this is probably a little high, honestly.
If the Packers want to be in this game, don't they have to score some points here?
Yeah, I mean, I would have suggested that the last couple of weeks too, but I mean, even last week, how many points did they get out of their offense? And like you said, one of those was a defensive score. It's not been a very effective offense here. So Allen has not played in 3 of 4th quarters this year. Yeah, they've been able to put in the backup a couple times. So maybe that's how this under gets home. Is it's 35-3 heading into the 4th quarter.
Yeah,
and it ends up like 38-6.
Well, what about this then? And I can understand Birdie's idea on the under 47.5, but what about the first half over 23.5? What about
I could be talked into that. Again, I need some help from Green Bay in that case. I don't want to rely on Buffalo to have to put up 21 of those.
you'd need some help from Green Bay?
Yeah, Green Bay's offense has just felt so rough lately. So no thanks on this one. I'm probably like all the primetime games are super tough for me to get involved with this week.
I like the first half over. I think that Rodgers will show. I think he'll show us something here. I've said that already this year, and it's blown up my face. So this could be another time where it does that. I'm not taking the Packers first half, but I just got this deja vu of before the London game, and I was like, now I did cash the Packers first half in that game.
Yeah, you did. They were good in the first half.
Birdie says Bills score on every first drive, Bills first quarter as well.
Oh, there you go. There's a good angle if you got to bet the game. But yeah, props for me probably once we get around to Sunday.
Yeah, and so okay, last question here before we move on to the Monday Nighter. What do you think of this Packers defense now that we're heading in? We've seen them play 7 times.
It's gotten a pretty hefty downgrade from where we had them, to start the season. I don't think it's a terribly good defense. And I mean, you just look at some of the individual player ratings right now, it's getting towards bottom half of the league, if not lower. They aren't doing, there's a couple of nice pass rush pieces, and I get that Rashawn Gary is good. The highlight of this defense is the pass rush. And I mean, Josh Allen, he's another one. He's almost like Rodgers when he was younger. Like, yeah, I remember watching Rodgers and seeing the pass rush get there, and if they didn't get home, it's like, fuck. Like, now, you brought a blitz and it didn't work. There's one less defender on there. Like, this is a touchdown. Josh Allen the same way, but he does it even better with his legs. Like, if this pass rush doesn't get home and they just flush him out and there's fewer defenders down the field, it's going to be big plays left and right. So the strength of this defense is probably going up against the strength in just Josh Allen's rush avoidance here. So it's an average to below average defense, and I think it's a poor matchup as well. Everyone's a poor matchup at the Bills. What am I saying here, guys?
That first quarter is at 9.5.
Yeah.
I think we could get scratcher. 10. Yeah, get that back scratched.
Oh.
All right, the final game here. I'm going to move on that first quarter and first half.
I like that first quarter of the stat there in the chat.
Yeah, I like it too, and I think that 10 points can be scored in that first quarter. I really do. So I like the first quarter over, first half over, and I will be moving on them. All right, let's move on to the Monday Nighter. Halloween. 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Cincinnati Bengals 4-3, 2-2 on the road. Cleveland Browns 2-5, 1-3 at home. First Energy Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. Much to my family's chagrin, I'll be right here. Hosting the live bet stream. 58 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 7 miles per hour. Let's go into the line history here first. We have the Bengals opening up at -3. They moved to -3.5. At -104. From a totals perspective, opened up at 46.5 and is now at 46. Let's go over to the cash flow here for the Monday Nighter. We have 89% of the tickets on the Bengals and 87% of the cash, then 58% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the under. Bengals come in off their 4th win in 5 games, 35-17 at home versus the Falcons. Burrow had a monster game, 34-42 for 481 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 345 yards in the first half alone. Bengals scored on their first 4 possessions. He's the first quarterback to have 5 games of 400 or more yards in his first 3 seasons. Tyler Boyd caught 8 passes for 155 yards and 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase caught 8 passes for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins caught 5 passes for 93 yards. Mixon 17 carries for 58 and a touchdown. Caught 3 for 33. They rank 30th in yards per carry. 3.5 yards per rush. 30th. And Mixon did not look good, even though the team looked very good. The Browns' rush defense is weak. 22nd in opponents' yards per carry. But the Bengals are not proving that they're able to take advantage of that. The defense held Atlanta to just 231 yards, sacked Mariota 3 times, hit him 6. Trey Hendrickson left the game with an injury, but it's just a stinger. He's good to go this week. And there's a chance Logan Wilson will be able to come back in action. DJ Reader, though, will remain out of the lineup until after the Week 10 bye. Browns come in off their 4th straight loss, a tight 23-20 setback at division rival Baltimore. The loss was costly. They lost starting middle linebacker Jacob Phillips to a season-ending torn pectoral muscle. He had to replace Anthony Walker Jr., who suffered the torn quad in week 3, and he underwent season-ending surgery. So they traded for Falcons linebacker Deion Jones. He made his debut, and he looked bad. You can imagine that he'll look better. I mean, his first game after being activated off the IR, and he was new to the system, but he had really terrible grades from Pro Football Focus. Jacoby Brissett, 22-27 for 258 yards. Amari Cooper caught 3 for 74. Donovan Peoples-Jones caught 6 for 71. Njoku suffers a high ankle sprain after catching 7 passes for 71 yards. So he's going to be out of the lineup anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks. They're now very weak at tight end. So Harrison Bryant is the only other healthy tight end on their roster. Jesse James is on IR. Farrell Brown is in concussion protocol. Nick Chubb had 16 carries for 91 yards. The Bengals' run defense is their weakness. They're 20th in opponents' yards per carry. The Browns have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. So this one is interesting. Take it away for us here, Bengals, Browns.
Yeah, is it funny to say like the whole game hinges on Joe Mixon? Like, I've been super disappointed with him. I thought we'd have a much better season. And yeah, it's a team that gives up like 140 on the ground per game. And like, again, like I said, with the Ravens game, I was surprised they weren't able to do more against this. Maybe it wasn't in the game plan. Maybe it was the Gus Bus breaking down a little, but yeah, it's been a team I've been a little disappointed in. Their pressure rate, their sack rate. Obviously, overall on defense, the Browns have been worse. I make this number pretty good, though. Like, it's still a divisional game. It's still the Bengals where, you know, we've seen the Bengals struggle if we have any pressure getting home, any pressure on Burrow, problems. But man, if the secondary has to hang out there, if he has time back in the pocket, Bengals might just romp. You still are going to need to run this ball, because it is a team that you should be able to just truck up front, especially with and maybe that was the difference between Baltimore and what we have in Cincinnati. I'm much more fearful of this receiving core than I am anything that Baltimore puts out there, even with Andrews. And maybe you have to, allocate more of your assets towards covering all 3 of those guys constantly. You're not able to stack the box, and Mixon does have a good game. So the move is correct. Like, the look ahead was on the other side of 3. I get it. It's probably this should be a 3. I'm not going to sit and take the Browns, though. Brissett's getting worse at this point, and Burrow is getting better. I need this. And truthfully, just maybe this is not relatable, because it's like, hey, I have a future too, so I already bet this game, but I have some Cincinnati to win the division earlier in the season, so I've already essentially bet the Cincinnati money line, because if they lose this game, that ticket's hanging on by a thread. Not only the loss, but the fact that the Ravens have already beat this team last week, and it's a divisional loss, so they need this one real bad. So I'm staying off this one completely. I'll play some props. I'll play some first touchdown scores. I'll enjoy it, but I'll be cheering for the Burrows.
I looked at the Bengals to win the division today.
What is it right now?
They're plus 160. at Bet365, and the Ravens are minus 160. And I was like,
still probably
shit. And then I looked at the schedule, and the Ravens have the easiest schedule you could possibly put together. And that's the problem. Because the Bengals still have tough teams to play.
Yeah.
But I was shocked. I was like plus 160. And so I had to dive into it for a little bit because I mean, they're a better team than the Ravens. To me, there's no doubt in my mind that if they played a one game, even if it was in Baltimore, the Bengals would win that game and move on. But the schedule is tricky. Very, very, very tricky. Papa Call says that's down from 325, and it says need this for Cincinnati to win the division. I like the number. What was it when you got in on the Bengals?
3-1.
3-1.
It was early in the season where I took some positions on them. Just I thought the offense would fix itself. And there's something too to the continuity question. Final thought on this one is like they did bring in extra pieces to help shore up this offensive line. Sometimes that doesn't just work automatically. There's a big element to continuity. Offensive linemen have spoke to this. They said like even on some of these teams where we didn't have any superstars, I just played with the same 5 guys for like 2 straight years. That's why we were good. Like, you see some of those guys go to other teams and not play that well. It's like, it wasn't that was such a good player. We were such good players. We had the continuity. We played together for so many. So sometimes I think that's something that's going to improve the Cincinnati offensive line as we go throughout the season. Maybe wishful thinking again, because I backed them long term. But yeah, I like them to win this. I think this number's pretty bang on. Same with the total. Maybe a little high, if anything. The way this goes over is the Bengals offense looks like it did last week. Stays under if they take a little bit of a step back.
There will be live betting opportunities aplenty, I think, in this game, and I can't wait to live bet it. Leo said this isn't last season, Jim. Look, the Ravens have a cakewalk to finish off this year, an absolute cakewalk. I didn't move on the Bengals at plus 160 today. So God bless you guys winning the division. You'll get knocked out very soon afterwards. But I couldn't move on the Bengals, even though I do think they're a better team. So I guess what I'm looking for is the Browns to score an early touchdown on Monday evening. That would be very good. That would help me. Birdie says really like the Browns here at plus 3.5 or higher and love the over. Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, the key thing here is Mixon, and you hear LJ from H-Town, says Cleveland's given up a rushing TD to opposing running backs 5 straight games. Joe Mixon anytime TD. He's not looked good, and here is his chance.
He just hasn't looked good. No. And Birdie might be on it. It's a divisional dog getting over a field goal for a team that hasn't been horrible. Like if you made me bet this, I would take the 3.5 with the Browns. They're at home. They're getting over a field goal. Like that's the move. It just I'm fine not betting that.
And so many people were on the Ravens last week against the Browns, but Ron Crawford has the Browns as his play of the day, and it was a thing of beauty. So no action for me right now on the Monday nighter, but I know what I'm looking for when we're live betting it. I'm looking for the Browns to score first, and I'm looking for an early stop so that I can get in on that over. I think if they're moving the ball comfortably, I think that's what I want to do. I mean, obviously we want to see the pace of play, but right now 58% of the tickets and 90% of cash is on the under. The weather's nice in Cleveland on Monday night. What would be your, just very quickly, we see the sharp or the bigger bets or the syndicate bets on the under. What would the angle there be?
Just the inability to run, and if the offense isn't moving like it did last week through the air, some 3-and-outs from Cincinnati, and then if Brissett's continuing to play poorly, it could just be a bad offensive game for both teams. If Mixon can't take advantage of this front 8, essentially stack the box if you want, guys. It's still bad.
That is,
and it's a primetime game, standalone game. Those tend to be a little cagier to beginning. So,
yeah, there's a lot on the line.
If I want overs, I'll bet Champions League.
There's a lot on the line here. All right, let's move on right now. and roll. But a question from the chat. Birdie says, Andy, are you still doing your BetSperts show? Said I used to watch every day and drop an NHL parlay in your chat. You still rocking your?
Oh yeah, brown bag. I didn't do it today. I had to do a golf show, but I'll be there tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be betting some Champions League tomorrow, 11:30 Eastern on our YouTube channel. So I'll be rocking some golf and some Champions League because there's no baseball till Friday. There's no college football midweek yet. So 11:30 Eastern. That's what I do my daily show every day.
Let's review all action here on Gridiron Gamblers. Thursday, October 27th. Nothing for Ravens Buccaneers from either of us at this point. The under 39.5 at -108 in Denver, Jacksonville for Andy. You get your card started there. And I want in. I have asterisks beside it. I want in. It's 39 at my book, but I want in. I have question marks beside the over in Carolina, Atlanta. It's going to take a little bit more time. Then 1 p.m. Eastern, Bears, Cowboys. We have no action. I want the over 51.5 in Dolphins, Lions. I think it's going to be a wild one. Andy is on the Cardinals plus 3.5 at plus 100. I'm interested in the over. I expect to bet it. Ron Crawford in the Nippon series, he's on Oryx minus 120. He gave us the Yakult Swallows as a winner last night. He's got another one here for us. Respect. By the way, Leo's on Gus Edwards over. I do expect Gus to continue to get better as he gets back rolling again. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is Arizona plus 3.5. So you have Arizona from Andy and Ron Crawford. Copied and pasted that. Remember, that's moved from 5.5 at Penny. Then Andy's on the over 49.5 in Raiders Saints, and you made it sound like the right move. Patriots Jets. I want to go underneath it, but I did end up, you calling it sort of a fair line, and I have question marks beside it, so that's going to take a little bit more time. Then Eagles first half -6. Do you feel that? Just quickly on this Eagles-Steelers game, I know we got to put a bow on this, but the fact that this is that in-state rivalry that
I don't like they're not in the same conference. I don't know if that's ever been like a real rivalry. It's different. I mean, Philadelphia is essentially the Eastern Seaboard, and Pittsburgh's pretty much Ohio. I don't know. Maybe somebody who lives in Pennsylvania can correct me, but I'll have my co-host tomorrow. I'm going to ask him about that because he's from Philly.
I'd be interested.
More of a rivalry with the Giants for sure.
Titans, Texans, no action for us. Andy's on the Commanders +3 at -105. Andy's on the 49ers -1 at -104. I'm ready to double up on the Seahawks. I don't know why I demand this getting in the way of these teams that are playing so well. Then first quarter over 9.5, first half over 23.5 in Packers Bills. I'm going to bet this as soon as the show's over. And then we have not moved on the Monday nighter. Birdie says, thank you, Jimmy and Andy, for all the hard work. Love this show. Win your weeks all. Says, go Kraken. Devils in the books. I like it. Danny Lopez is on, what does he say? He's on Atletico tomorrow. That's his look over there. Coin, thank you for the kind words. Sky Dragon, all you guys, thank you so much for all your support. Terry Walker, Leo said it, Mike, Papa Cows, Harold Williams, WSDJ, Sky Dragon, Mike. Thank you guys. Parl Angel, Rant, Spenny, Penny Bombs. Thank you for your insights. Not Flush Allen, all you guys. Boogie Main. Thank you guys. This was it's so helpful. It just feels like the week is so much easier after all this work is done. Andy, thank you so much. Good luck on your shows over at BetSperts and, of course, the Deep Dive podcast. I loved having you on the show with us for the second quarter of last night's game. Thank you for joining us. We enjoyed it immensely. And any final words before we put a bow on this?
No, let's do the thing. I can't do it like you do. Let's get the fucking money. I'm bad at that. I need you to do it. I can't do it, Jimmy.
Fucking milk the
milk. Let's get this done.
Fucking cash.